Tributes continue to pour in on talkSPORT as we honour and remember the life of Liverpool's lad from Portugal. Liverpool legend Mark Lawrenson's praised Jota's impact at Anfield.
I would call him a 100%er.
Yeah.
Which we used to do in our day. If you were a top player and, you know, the talk was about you, just go 100%er. No doubt about it. When you're in that dressing room, look around, you know, and you for a big game and you're looking at people you can count on. He was one of those.
Many fans want to see his number 20 shirt retired, and Lawrenson made his position clear on that matter.
I think that's a fantastic thing to honour somebody like him. Never ever been done before at Anfield. I'm sure they'll definitely do something like that, which will be very, very fitting.
Messages of love and support from all corners of the footballing world speak to the impact he had on his teammates. And the Daily Mail's Dom King says he had a special place in the heart of the Anfield faithful.
He had a song about he's the lad from Portugal, better than Figo, don't you know? Liverpool fans only make those songs for songs of that imagination and colour for the people, for the players that have got something about them, and he embodied their very, very best characteristics.
Jota and his brother Andre's funeral will take place in Portugal tomorrow morning. Elsewhere, as Owen Farrell makes his return to the Lions tour, his former Saracens teammate Jim Hamilton's told talkSPORT he's a much-needed addition to his dad's squad.
I think there's one thing that I've seen with the British and Irish Lions, and I don't want to use the word soft, but I'd say there's a niceness around this squad. And you think you've had the great Lawrence Dallaglio in the studio before, and you think of the icons like Martin Johnson and Johnny Wilkinson, like born leaders at the very highest level. And I think when I've seen the Lions, they're maybe lacking a little bit of leadership. In Owen Farrell, you get everything, but you get leadership on top. Yeah.
Remember, talkSPORT's the only place you can listen to the Lions tour on national radio, where we're bringing you live coverage of their game against Waratahs tomorrow morning.
This is Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs with you through until 4 here on talkSPORT. Where this afternoon, Andy, please tell us what's coming up.
Well, coming up over the next 3 hours, Stan Collymore joins us to look at the week's big stories and to pay tribute to Diogo Jota. We'll also build up to England and Wales opening games at Euro 2025, and we'll test the strength of today's transfer rumours.
That's right. We'll also drop in on the Lions camp as they prepare for tomorrow's warm-up game in Sydney, and we'll keep you in touch with events at Wimbledon, as well as the second test between England and India at Edgbaston.
It's all this plus clips of the week. Seinfeld bobblehead whips Yankees fans into a frenzy in Todd Mackin's American Sports Roundup. That sounds good.
That's right. Yeah, it's a weird story, that. Anyway, it is 4 minutes past 1. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Andy.
Yes, good afternoon, Paul. And of course, it's been a really sad couple of days. It's hard. It's cast a shadow over everything, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
Very difficult. I found myself getting really annoyed with England the way they throw the test match away.
Well, you were watching yesterday,
and then of course just pulling yourself up and going, oh, this doesn't matter at all, does it? In the grand scheme of things.
Absolutely.
Just always so sad when somebody so loved and so good at what they do with such a young family,
young, yeah.
Struck down like that. It's a really terrible thing. It imprinted on you indelibly. You'll always remember it. You'll always think about it. It was a horrible, horrible day for everybody concerned.
Absolutely.
Horrible story. Some lovely, touching letters, though, from his teammates and, really sweet stuff from Andy Robertson and people like that, all of them. And the whole of the world of football coming together, which was a really beautiful thing, actually. And I noticed even on the Chelsea website, where they're normally very dismissive of any other clubs, everybody was respectful.
Right, well, that's good to hear.
So
quite right too.
Yeah, absolutely. And the beautifully observed minutes silence as well last night
at the game. Yeah.
Spain, they look pretty good, didn't they?
They do.
they look the class of the field.
We've got the former England player Claire Rafferty coming in a bit later, and we'll talk about that. That was, look, Portugal are not the greatest team in the tournament.
They've shipped a lot of goals,
but the quality of the goals the Spanish girls scored were pretty special. So we'll be chatting to Claire about that later on.
I'm always intrigued about what people will bet on, and of course we all know it's the Oasis comeback concert tonight, and of course we've been talking about it a lot on the station, and Noel Gallagher's been on a lot, but fans are betting on Liam Gallagher's first word.
Really?
I'm going 5-1 expletive.
Well, if you know the running order, does anybody know the set list? His first word could be the first word of the song.
It could be.
You think it's going to be?
But I think he's going to come on. There'll be a lot of applause. And so, All Right is the red hot favourite at 3-1.
I don't think he'll say anything till he sings the first word of the first song. I thought they were betting on the first song. What do you think they're going to go
No,
with?
they're just betting on the actual first words.
Okay.
Oasis, hello, I suppose, is a possibility at 4-1. It's really odd.
He doesn't strike you as a hello kind of guy, does he really?
Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen, is
Hi.
it?
I can't see him doing that, can you?
That either, no. But there you go. So
I don't think it will say anything. I just think it will just wander out doing the walk, looking at the audience, possibly with a tambourine at some point, and then he'll just start singing.
It's going to be a real occasion, isn't it, for anybody there? That's
I think Andy Goldstein's going tonight.
Is he?
Yeah, that's why he's not on today. It's Gabby and
he's a big member.
Shabam today.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, Shabam said she'd see me later. A very interesting letter to the Star today. One, I love my sport. Not so much tennis, definitely not women's soccer. Well done, mate. Tuesday, BBC 1 10 hours, BBC 2 9 hours, then ITV chipped in with 3 hours. Then you get at least 2 or 3 assessors discussing what you've just watched.
Assessors.
It's not an insurance claim, mate.
Yeah, they're
pundits.
They're not assessors.
No,
very much not assessors.
Brilliant, isn't it? Well done.
We're going to be chatting to Aston Merrygold in this hour of JLS fame, our assistant producer. Very excited.
Oh, very excited. I've never seen her so excited.
Big JLS fan. So Aston was a decent player, though, in his youth.
Yeah.
I think he could have been a contender. I think, again, he might have been one of those that got an injury or music took over. I don't know. But
they're all branching out in different things, aren't they? They've all done Strictly and presenting and all sorts of stuff.
So Aston's a big Arsenal fan, so he's going to join us and have a chat a little bit later on. As we said, Claire Rafferty's going to join us. Quite a nice story, actually, the missing years for England and all the kits, because there wasn't a women's national team. All the kits they miss out on, the retro kits, are being produced now, and Claire's involved in that. She'll tell us a little bit more about that, as well as talking about the Euros so far and looking ahead to England and Wales. We're both live on talkSPORT and talkSPORT 2 tomorrow.
Lovely.
Stan Collymore is going to join us a little bit later, and I know he wants to pay his own tribute to Diogo Jota and give us some insight into the dressing room, and he's been in similar situations before, so he'll be joining us for a chat. We'll talk a bit of Lions later. We'll have some clips of the week for you. There's even an extra clip that we put in the podcast today. Wasn't so much deemed too rude, but it's a bit rude. It was just we get a lot of clips like that. But we'll talk you through it if you download the podcast a little bit later on. We'll tell you more later.
Got a bit of a reader's trouser for you. It's quite interesting.
Good, yeah.
Yes, it's a nice trouser. It's got,
lovely. The use of the word soft trouser singular is always
super
good.
Soft peach skin feel cotton. It's so comfortable. You can't beat that. No. This is the bit I like. You will love all the pockets too. Both trousers and shorts have 2 button leg pockets and 1 back pocket, providing room for all those essential items. Yes, it's a pocket.
Yeah.
That's what pockets do.
Preferably not your sunglasses.
No,
I had a mate who would sit on his sunglasses all the time.
Yeah.
And I thought, look, it's only a tip, but why don't you not put them in your back pocket?
It's very true.
Put
them in your shirt. That's a good place.
You go away with him and he'd sit down, you'd hear... Used to do it so many times. Things not to put in your back pocket.
Really.
You can let us know this afternoon if you wanted to. Anything else, Andy?
Well, the cricket's been interesting.
Oh, yeah,
this
it has
morning.
been, hasn't it?
I mean, it's fascinating, really.
249 for 5. They're still 338 behind, but it has been pretty amazing.
I was thinking on the way, I was still quite angry, really. Just qualifying what I said at the stop.
Why? What's made you so angry?
Because I think that India's man of the match is definitely Ben Stokes. The thing about Bazball is, when it works, it's fantastic. But when it goes wrong, it's horrendous. I mean, you get absolutely thrashed, don't you? And I just thought, you can't just be... I don't care. There are certain rules. Yeah, he's had success putting teams in, but you've got to look at the conditions. That was not a pitch to put anybody in on. I mean, it was just bonkers. And then what a surprise. After 2 days of chasing around, they lost 3 quick wickets in the evening. And, and even this morning wasn't overly a surprise. But a good fight back. I mean, still miles behind in the game. But the longer they can bat in the first innings, the harder it makes for India to actually force a result. If they can get out of this in a draw, that'll be a good, very good result.
An 80-ball century from Jamie Smith. That is pretty amazing, isn't it?
But like him and Harry Brook, they're great to watch. But boy, do they need a few chances.
Yeah.
They do. They play in a risky fashion, and that's what you need to succeed. But we'll have a chat with Sam Ellard, and we'll keep an eye on that for you. We'll also be keeping an eye on what's going on at Wimbledon this afternoon. Lisa O'Sullivan is right across that, and we'll be catching up with her shortly. We're going to, since yesterday and since the terrible news broke about Diogo Jota, there's been lots of stories, some which we discussed yesterday on the show, sort of random tales of kindness from the man. And we've got another one today. Graham Bryce from The Sun will join us with his personal reminiscence of Diogo Jota. Such a lovely bloke. And we were saying, he was a player when Liverpool were playing Chelsea. You always feared him, either if he started or he could come on. You knew he was going to do something.
Absolutely.
And he had this incredible leap as well for a small guy.
That came up a lot.
But more importantly, he's a really lovely guy. And of course, sadly, his brother too. It's so sad. It really is.
We'll chat to Graham later on. We'll be up at Anfield with our own Amelia Bell-Trowell, who's outside the ground today. But first, we can check in with Lisa O'Sullivan, watching a busy afternoon at Wimbledon unfold. Hi, Lisa.
Hiya, and we've got British action just getting underway on court number 1, a first meeting for Britain's Soné Cartel and Diane Parry of France, one of whom will make the Wimbledon 4th round for the first time. Parry, 22 years old, a former junior world number 1, has played her way here through qualifying, while Cartel's improved ranking has her here by rights. Evenly matched by their best rankings. It should be a good match here, but you would give the edge to the Brit, potentially. 2 other Brits in action, of course. Cam Norrie will be taking on Bellucci of Italy, and then in the tea time slot, which has become the traditional Wimbledon slot for British hopes, will be Emma Raducanu taking on the top seed Arina Sabalenka.
What are her chances percentage-wise, would you say, Emma, today?
Do you know what? It's going to be one of those matches that it depends on the mindset of Arina Sabalenka. Now, the crowd could get in her head.
And she doesn't like that, does she? She doesn't react well.
No, and she starts making errors. Huge number of errors in the French Open final when she lost her mind as Coco Gauff went through and took the title there. And it is a mental thing with her. If she comes out with the right mindset and just decides to keep smacking down 118-mile-an-hour serves without reply, then it could be quite short. But Raducanu knows that she's got to go in and be a little bit crafty, a bit creative, and not try and meet fire with fire. So it's going to be a really interesting match, and I think Raducanu will push her, but obviously she is the underdog.
Good stuff. Back to you later, Lisa. Thanks very much. That's Lisa O'Sullivan there at Wimbledon. As we said, we'll be with Sam Ellard at Edgbaston throughout the afternoon. Keep an eye on all that for you. We're talking Euro 2025 in the first hour. Aston Merrygold's going to pop in and see us. We'll talk a bit of Arsenal with the JLS singer, but we will head up to Anfield very shortly, catch up with our own Amelia Bell-Trowell outside the ground, and hear from the Sun's man in the Midlands, Graham Bryce, with his personal story of Diogo Jota. That's all to come. We're here with our good friends at Tool Station. Delivery in as little as 30 minutes with Fast Track. Next stop, Tool Station.
plays that villain role very well now. That's crying out for a little bit more attention. It comes with a lot of crazy people. I took it personally and it kind of made me rebel a bit more. To be honest, I don't really care anymore. I'm never going to change.
Against Everton. They bring up a century of Merseyside derby victories, courtesy of that goal from Diogo Jota.
The thing with Liverpool is we're not just a team, he's an honorary Scouser. We've lost one of his own, just heartbreaking. It's not just him, it's his brother as well, his poor family.
It feels like you know him, but you don't know him, if that makes sense. You just want to know, you just want to try and support, let people know that, you know, the family know that everyone in the world's going to be thinking about them.
We've been through a lot as a city and, you know, we gather ourselves, but you can't prepare for things like this, can you?
No, I live up here now, but I still go to Wolves every week. Still a season ticket holder. We won the championship with him, Ruben Neves and Nuno. Probably the best team I've seen at Wolverhampton in my lifetime.
Everyone knows what it's like to lose someone. It feels like we've lost one of our own.
The fans just absolutely adored him. If he was injured, we wanted him back. If he was on the pitch, we thought he'd score.
Just a gentleman on the pitch, off the pitch. He donated money to charities, Hillsborough, other charities, the foundation. He done everything he could.
You'll never walk alone. You're always in our hearts. Never forget you. Never forget.
Yes, understandably, football fans have been descending on Anfield since the news broke about Diogo Jota and his brother Andre Silva yesterday.
And he left his mark wherever he went, didn't
absolutely,
he? Team he played for, whichever club he played for.
Well, we'll hear from Graham Bryce in the Sun in a few moments' time. He's got his own personal story when he was at Wolves. But Amelia Beltrao is outside Anfield this afternoon. Hi, Amelia.
Hi there, gents.
I mean, wow. I'm looking at the pictures behind you. If people are watching on YouTube, on CTV, it's just a sea of scarves and flowers. And I take it people are still turning up constantly, a constant flow of people arriving at the club.
Yeah, it's actually quite cloudy here in Anfield, perhaps an honest reflection of the general mood across Merseyside. But yes, as you say, there is a sea of scarves, shirts, balloons and flowers, and people are continuing to pay their respects. I think the mood here isn't quite as raw and emotional as it was yesterday, but still people are coming down here to deeply reflect. In the last hour, one of those people to come down and pay their respects was Jordan Henderson. He came down with a bouquet of flowers with a note that said, "Rest in peace, my friend. Along with your brother Andre, we will all miss you. Love, Hendo and family." He then wrapped a scarf around the bouquet and he just sort of sat back and reflected on the other tributes that were in front of him before then quietly leaving. And I think that's going to be the case across the rest of the day. I saw a lot of people coming before work, before school, as they were walking their dogs. And it's fair to say that it's not just football fans coming here today. It is, and yesterday, it is just everyone from Merseyside who just want to come and pay their respects, join together, sort of help the local community and the footballing community and across the world really in support of just this tragic death.
Amelia, thanks for now. Thanks very much. That's Amelia Beltrao outside Anfield.
It's some scene, isn't it?
Yeah, wow. That's amazing. You look at all the people that are still arriving, understandably so, but as we said, a sea of flowers and scarves and shirts. Graham Bryce from The Sun, he's their man in the Midlands and covered Diogo Jota during his time at Wolves. And as we said, we've got lots and lots of calls and emails and texts from people who encountered Diogo Jota in his time in this country as a player. And there were these little random acts of kindness and little stories that emerged yesterday in sad circumstances. Graham joins us now. Good afternoon, Graham.
Good afternoon, Paul.
Yeah, I was reading your story today, and I thought it would be nice if we could chat to you about it. I think it kind of, again, summed up the man. So tell us about your experience with him.
Well, he was one of these players that didn't mind talking to the press, which are becoming increasingly hard to find these days.
Yeah.
But, he was just such a kind guy. He was just such a lovely fellow. And we had I ran a football team, just a little village football team, under 13s. And we'd reached the cup final. And I was interviewing Diogo, and I mentioned it to him. And I said that the boys would be nervous. And then I kind of plucked up courage and I said, you wouldn't mind doing a little bit to camera, would you? Just to wish them good luck. And he was like, yeah, no problem at all. So he gave them all the best wishes, said, don't be nervous, lads, kind of thing. And I'm sure you're going to win. And we played a team that we'd never beaten before. We'd been playing them for 4 years, never beaten them. But that day we made a bit of a fuss of the lads and we managed to beat them 3-2. So, we played the video before the game in the dressing room to the lads, and they were absolutely chuffed. They were so made up with it that a player of his calibre would take time out to wish them all the best. So a couple of weeks later, I was back at Molineux and we bumped into Diogo, and he just said to me, he said, how did the lads get on? And I said, the one thanks to you. Your inspirational chat to them. And it just took me a bit by surprise that you would even remember it, because you'd never met any of the lads before. But I think that just sums up what a gentleman he is, and just how he had time for everybody, how he genuinely cared. He was a decent human being.
We were saying yesterday, Graham, that he kind of took a step down, if you like, going into the Championship with Wolves from Porto. And he, I think just afterwards he said sometimes you've got to take a step backwards to take a step forward. And he certainly did that, of course, by ending up at Liverpool. But, I mean, that was a... I mean, I don't know if... although George Mendes was the agent and would have had a hand in him going to Wolves, it was still a big call, wasn't it, to drop down a division and start to rebuild your career?
Absolutely, Paul. I mean, this is a guy that was playing for Atletico Madrid, and not just to drop down a level to maybe a Wolves in the Premier League. This was Wolves in the Championship, who were a sleeping giant, and he reawoke them. He was top scorer in that first season. I think it was 17 goals he got in the Championship. But he was a smart guy, and he knew how his career would pan out. I think he thought it through very carefully, that what he needed at that time was regular first-team football and to score a few goals. And I think he was confident that the Premier League would come. So, he had 3 great years at Wolves, was an absolute sensation, great favourite with the fans. And then, age 23, he got his move to Liverpool, which was the right time probably for him to move to a big club like Liverpool.
Definitely. A real outpouring from Wolves fans as well. It's really noticeable that, sometimes when a player leaves your club, you don't always feel that way, but they did, obviously.
Yeah, he was well received when he returned to Molineux as well, Andy. The Wolves fans loved him. They had a song about him. It's Diogo, not Diego. Makes me happy. Makes me feel this way. To the old Chaka Khan. So they adored him. I don't know anybody that met the guy that didn't adore him. He was just such a friendly guy, just so outgoing, and genuinely cared about people.
We're hearing today that Pedro Neto may well not play in the Club World Cup tonight.
They're giving him the option.
He was a teammate for
apparently
club
he didn't
country.
train yesterday. Was good.
He we were saying yesterday that so many, when you get a kind of, you would have a Portuguese enclave, not people just in Wolverhampton or Liverpool, but all the Portuguese players in the UK probably would get together. They'd all know each other. They'd probably have a network. Their wives and families would know each other. So this has a massive knock-on effect, far beyond even his international teammates and his Wolves teammates and his Liverpool teammates, I think.
Yeah, I know that the Portuguese contingency at Wolves, they quickly found a Portuguese cafe near the ground, near the training ground, and they used to go there all the time. And I did a story once, and I tackled I don't know whether you've ever heard of a Francisquina.
Oh yes, the big Portuguese sandwich, yeah.
It's a big sandwich. Yeah. I'm a big lad, and I couldn't manage one. But, I looked at him and I said, "You can't eat a Francisquina. There's no way. You know, it's got steak, sausage meat, a beer sauce, and all that. Couldn't be worse food for a footballer." And he said, "No, I like it. I like it as long as it's after a game." And, you know, but community was really important to him. But, I mean, his English was so good as well. That was one of the things I said to him after the game against Crusaders in Belfast. I interviewed him. And I said, "Your English is absolutely stunning." You know, he said, No, not at all. I said, "No, it's great. How do you learn it so quickly?" And he said, "Well, you know, we get taught it at school in Portugal. We get it from a young age." He said, "I'm nothing special."
Yeah.
You know, and I was apologising to him for my English being a Scot, you know, but... But his English was a lot better than mine, it has to be said. So, you know, he's just a very smart guy, very clever lad.
Graham, appreciate you joining us and telling your story. Thanks, all the best. Thank you.
It's a pleasure, lads. Sorry, it's such sad circumstances.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks, Graham. That's Graham Bryce there from The Sun with his memories, their Midlands correspondent of Diogo Jota. We're going to chat to Claire Rafferty very shortly. The Euro 2025 underway. Been watching a couple of games so far.
Me too.
Spain looking pretty awesome last night. England and Wales in action this weekend. That's live on the talkSPORT network. Both those games live. But Claire, the former Chelsea and England defender, pops in very shortly.
As the football world continues to process the tragic death of Diogo Jota and his younger brother Andre Silva, tributes continue to pour in on talkSPORT as we honour and remember the life of Liverpool's lad from Portugal. Liverpool legend Mark Lawrenson's praised Jota's impact at Anfield.
I would call him a 100%er.
Yeah.
Which we used to do in our day. If you were a top player and, you know, the talk was about you, just go 100%er. no doubt about it. When you're in that dressing room, look around, and you for a big game, and you're looking at people you can count on. He was one of those.
Many fans want to see his number 20 shirt retired, and Lawrenson made his position clear on that matter.
I think that's a fantastic thing to honour somebody like him. Never ever been done before at Anfield. I'm sure they'll definitely do something like that, which will be very, very fitting.
Messages of love and support from all corners of the footballing world speak to the impact he had on his teammates. And the Daily Mail's Dom King says he had a special place in the heart of the Anfield faithful.
He had a song about he's the lad from Portugal, better than Figo, don't you know? Liverpool fans only make those songs for songs of that imagination and colour for the people, for the players that have got something about them, and he embodied their very, very best characteristics.
Totally cherish these moments. You'll never ever forget these moments.
I think this squad excites me because potentially of what it could achieve.
Our life changed, and we have to adapt to that too.
It's going to be a bit more difficult because they've obviously lost 3 experienced players in Millie Bray, Frank Kirby and Mary Earps.
There's a lot of different personalities within this squad. I think we've got a lot more youth than I've had in previous squads that I've been in.
We think they're the best players in the country and they can contribute to the team performances.
Russo in the area, Russo to finish it!
There's 4 teams that potentially could win it for me: Germany, England, Spain and France.
We all are aware that our group is really, really tough with incredible teams in it.
We've always had a very strong unit at England, and I think it's fair to say that that's probably why our output has been successful over the last couple of years.
We want to go out there and put on a performance. We want to go out there and enjoy ourselves, and make sure everyone at home is proud of us and that we keep inspiring everyone as well.
Every tournament is so different challenges, so we're all very excited to get going, especially now we're in Zurich and ready for the first game.
Yes, England's defence of their European title gets underway tomorrow against France. It's live on talkSPORT, 8 o'clock. Before that, at 5 over on talkSPORT 2, Wales take on the Netherlands. Joining us now in the studio to chat about that and more is the former Chelsea and England defender, Claire Rafferty. Hi, Claire.
Hello, good afternoon.
We're first going to talk about the missing shirt. This is a very good idea. Explain exactly what it is.
Yeah, so I'm wearing it right now. I know that people can't see at the moment,
well,
but
they can if they look.
They can. There we go. Hello. So the missing shirt it's unbelievable to think that only up until 2019, well, from 2019 was the first ever women's shirt. Prior to that, we had to wear men's kits. So the style of the fit, the design, I felt like I was always playing a kit that was too heavy. It wasn't made for me. And like your second best, and we've never had that symbol. Women have never had that symbol, and now we do. We have the first ever national retro shirt, and on the shoulders we have the initials of lionesses that have gone before, highlighting the trailblazers and the legacy. Then on the back there's names of lionesses and the year that they should have been wearing a women's shirt specifically made for them.
And this is a kind of you've come together with a designer and a shirt manufacturer and kind of produced this England style shirt, the shirt that really should have been there years and years ago for women to wear.
Yeah, the missing shirt. Hattie Crovier, fantastic designer. Fowdies who've produced it, and you can buy the shirts online at fowdies.com. But it's about telling that story. It's not just about looking to the past. It's about where we're at now, celebrating the moments and the Euros that we're in, but also looking forward to what the future holds.
Yeah.
You know, all sales and proceeds will go to grassroots football, investing in that next generation of players.
Can we have a look at this show?
You can. I put you a little surprise here.
Yeah,
there's only one, so you have to fight over it.
Oh, look at that. It's got Claire's name on the back as well. Fantastic. That's Andy's going to take that for his daughter-in-law, isn't he? So,
yeah. Perfect.
Nice.
So at the back, it's 15 because 2015 was the World Cup that I played in and wasn't able to wear a kit. I actually, during that tournament, had to ask the medical staff for scissors to cut the sleeves.
Really?
I used my own hairbands to pin the shirts back. So, yeah, it's now the moment where we can celebrate what came before us and what's in the future.
Yeah.
You like this, don't you?
Got a bit of weight to it.
Yeah, it's very well made. So Fowdies produced this.
Yeah.
As I said, you get your shirts at fowdies.com and all proceeds goes to grassroots football.
So, I mean, you packed up in 2019 just as those women's shirts came in.
Bad timing. Maybe I would have saved. When I look back now and I go through my kit bag, you should see the state of them. They're all cut up. Can't really show them off like I can do now with this retro shirt.
On it says, sorry, Paul.
Yes.
It says unsupported, unaffiliated.
Yes.
What's that a reference to?
So it's a reference to the feeling that the players had before. So unsupported, it feels like something that's such a small detail, but in football, those small details are the difference.
Yeah.
And being unsupported, and it's unaffiliated, you can't see the England badge on
There's no crest on it.
Yeah, there's no
crest on it. It's kind of a protest.
But it is. It is indeed. And yeah, obviously we did reach out to the FA and things like that. And in the end, we just went ahead and created one that takes a look back at those.
I think it's not necessarily the thought of the people that are there now, but it is a source of embarrassment. I think the whole legacy of women's football and the way it was banned for years is a source of embarrassment for the FA, and I says that's not to have a go at the people that are there now.
Really tried to make
Of course they have.
Yeah, we've come on leaps and bounds, but it doesn't kind of make up for what happened in the past, the ban that you mentioned. And
have you been surprised or amazed by how quickly and how much strides the game has made? It's
even in the 6 years since you stopped playing. So.
Yeah, I mean, once again, bad timing for me retiring because I think all the success came after. But actually saying that 2015 World Cup, and then prior to that we had the Olympics, didn't we, in London, where we were Team GB, and yes, we weren't the Lionesses or England, but I remember in that moment thinking when we were playing at Wembley Stadium, I think it was against Brazil and that sellout crowd, for the first time I felt like we were seen. And we were seen because we were Team GB and we weren't the Lionesses. And at the time, we weren't appreciated as Lionesses. I think that changed the mindset because people were seeing it. They came to the game and they saw it with their own eyes, and they understood that this product is entertaining. And yeah, from them, we've seen a tremendous growth in terms of the investment, the level and the standard. And that kind of filters through to the WSL and the competition and the international players that we attract within the league.
And Arsenal winning the Champions League.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to say as a Chelsea player, but what a great achievement for Arsenal and for, as you mentioned, English clubs.
Quite a few of Barca's Spanish players, though, I've seemed to have shrugged it off looking at them against Portugal last night. As I said, the Esther, the first goal in that game is that, I don't know if people have seen it, the ball comes over the top, Spanish player Esther takes it kind of on her heel, takes the sting out of it and finishes it with her other foot. I mean, again, it'd be a goal of the season contender.
It looked so easy, didn't it? It looked so easy. I mean, maybe let's not talk about the Portuguese defence. I think they were a little bit taken aback, weren't they? But let's not take anything away from Esther and the ability to control the ball and finish under that much pressure. Fantastic.
And then the Alexa Putellas goal, which was a lovely finish. Which was a brilliant.
The cut back inside, wasn't it? It was like so nonchalant the way she just shifted her body.
They do look good, Claire, don't they?
It's scary. Yeah, very scary. I'm hoping that we can avoid them for as long as possible. I'm not sure.
Well, it's the semi-finals. I think if it pans out as it should do. Yeah. So
still one game too early, isn't it?
You never know. Arsenal didn't think they'd beat Barca, and they did. So.
True.
So what of? I mean, I'm sure you've been watching it all unfold, and as we heard in that little package there, England have lost some pretty key senior players. But how are you feeling about the tournament going in?
I think initially when the squad was announced and we saw the loss of Frank Herbie, it was a bit like, who do we have to bring in with that much experience? But actually, it is about reinventing yourself. Levels are always improving in the crease and around. And so I think Serena Wiegmann has had to think outside the box in terms of not bringing in the same players that she typically does, and maybe relying on the players that we did in 2022 when we won. We saw the likes of Russo and Toon come on as in those substitute positions and make impact. I'm assuming that's what her mindset is in the squad that she selected with those younger players. Aggie Beever-Jones, obviously Lauren James, we know what she can do.
She's pretty key, Lauren James, isn't she?
Oh, yeah. It sounds like she's going to come off the bench initially. Yeah. She builds her fitness.
I think initially, but then we'll probably see her. It obviously depends on the game, how the game's going, but I think initially off the bench, and then I'm hoping in latter stages, depending on the opposition.
Yeah.
But we don't know, do we? What's going to happen?
You were saying to us, we're quite surprised, but you can't get tickets.
Yeah. I tried to get tickets for the England-Wales game, but because the stadiums are quite small, the demand is shot up. I can't get any. So it's pricey, isn't it?
If anyone's got any spares, let us know.
Reach out.
But it's good to see it well attended.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the good thing about the stadiums are quite small, but they're full, and the atmosphere's sounding really good at the games, isn't it?
Exactly.
One thing that hasn't changed is ACLs. You had 2 in your career. 3.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, you probably look at the research and you think, will anything ever change? But I mean, it is. It's not coincidental, is it? It's clearly an issue that they need to get to grips with. Really.
Yeah, it's a long-term investment. It's not just about taking a 2-year look at injuries and performance data and training data. It's about that investment into the small details. The menstrual cycle, training loads, how they develop over time from exposure from when you're in that academy phase and your body's changing and you're growing, what that then looks like intertwined with the menstrual cycle. And then in addition to that, we've got the surface of the floor. Obviously there's different types of pitches that you can play on and footwear, the boots. Yeah. It's all important. There's so many factors. I think it really needs a lot of investment. I know that it is improving, but yeah, I had 3 ACLs. Oh. That's a good 3.5 years
and
out.
Has that given you? I mean, do you have issues now?
No, I don't.
Oh,
I don't have issues other than weak hamstrings. But I actually started a new sport. I started playing rugby for my local team.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, my ACLs are held up so far. Touch wood.
Are you playing now still? Are you?
Yeah, playing. Well, we had a tour, which was like a 1-day tournament a couple of weekends ago. I play 15, so I'm not 100% on the rules.
I thought you might have been on the wing.
No, I play 15. And I let everyone else do the tackling, and I just run through.
Okay.
Yeah, so I basically kick it and just run after it. So pretty much, still playing football, just with a different shaped ball.
So do you want to play it? Is it just fun, or you?
Yeah, just for fun. Yeah. I think I missed obviously the team environment. That just gives me that kind of. Yeah.
Well, Claire, lovely to see you.
And you.
Enjoy the rest of the tournament. Best of luck with the missing shirt.
Thank you for having me. And everyone can buy the shirts at Foudys.com.
Go and check it out. FOUDYS. That's right, isn't it? You can go and find it there. That's Claire Rafferty, the former England and Chelsea defender. Aston Merrygold joining us shortly. Let's check in with Sam Allard. They're back out after lunch, Sam.
Yeah, 255 for 5 is the score. England trailing by 332 runs. We witnessed a quite remarkable morning session. England losing 2 wickets in 2 balls in the second over of the morning at 84 for 5 in real trouble. Jamie Smith came to the crease on a hat-trick ball. He went to lunch with a century to his name. He's 106 not out now from 86 balls. Out of the other end, Harry Brook has 93 to his name. They put on 171 runs in 26 overs, scoring at 6.5 runs in over. Jamie Smith in particular, magnificent early in his innings, a couple of glorious drives through the covers. They then went to the short ball tactic, which he simply took on. He took 23 runs from one Pradesh Krishna over in the morning session. And we know England like to move the game along pretty quickly. They could easily lose 5 wickets in the next hour if these two bat throughout the whole of the afternoon session. England might be thinking they can get close to India's 587, which they scored yesterday. So underway in the afternoon session, Smith's got 106, Brooks got 94, England 256 for 5, trailing by 333 runs.
Plays that villain role very well now. That's crying out for a little bit more attention. It comes with a lot of crazy people. I took it personally and it kind of made me rebel a bit more. To be honest, I don't really care anymore. I'm never going to change.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. JLS are on tour later this year. We'll be chatting about that very shortly with Aston Merrygold. But we've got other stuff to discuss as well. Aston, good to see you.
Good to see you guys. You all right?
Yeah, we're going to talk a bit of football later on. You're a big Arsenal fan, of course. You're in the West End at the minute. But before that, we're going to talk a bit about, as we're into the summer, keeping your kids entertained on long car journeys.
Oh, yeah. And car journeys, plane journeys, honestly, everything. I'm like full-on advocate of just keeping it fun.
Yeah.
Always, you know what I mean? Just break out the board games. Do you know what I mean? I'm a big Asmodee fan, so I'm like, right, get the double out. Let's just go. Let's cause some chaos in a nice confined space.
Yeah, we've got double at home. We play it with our kids are like older now, but we still play it.
My grandkids.
It's a good game.
Listen, it doesn't discriminate on age. I think doubles that right. We can all get involved. You know what I mean? I think that's the one game I go, especially in our house. If someone calls it on. So I said, 5-year-old at the minute as well. He's like, he started to really grasp it. He's like, come on, double. Should we? Bit more, Daddy. Should we go again? I'm like, okay.
My granddaughter started having a fight over it practically.
Really?
Yeah,
windmilling?
Quite tense.
That's not the idea of the game.
No,
is it?
not quite. No,
it's not like chess boxing. You shouldn't be doing that. Fantastic. So you're also in 101 Dalmatians.
Yes. Yeah. Just and rehearsing for that at the minute. So we kick off on the 18th of July, which is it's not long away actually. So.
You're the dog catcher.
I am. I'm Jasper, one of the dog catchers. Yeah. So myself and Jeff Brazier are doing the Jasper and Caspar dog catchers, and Sydney Christmas as Cruella de Vil. So,
blimey,
yeah, it's a very fun show.
You'll be able to have a bit of football chat with Jeff.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, he does. He presents a lot of non-league stuff on the telly.
Yes, he does indeed. Yeah, I mean, he's fully into his script at the minute, so I'm a bit like, don't kind of want to bring any football up, just kind of distract him. But we'll get into that.
Yeah. And also on tour, you've got Example going on tour with you.
Yeah, myself and the JLS boys, we brought Example with us, so we thought, why not? Do you know what I mean? If you're going to have anybody kind of set the party off, it's a bit like Example's got so many bangers. Do you know what I mean? And I suppose at the same time, when we were kind of at our peaks in the charts and stuff like that, it was just kind of flying. So it was a bit like, do you know what? Yeah,
as long as Fulham don't turn over Arsenal,
right. Well, listen,
he's a big Fulham fan. That could happen. I don't know if you probably are playing Fulham during this tour, in quite possibly.
Probably, yeah. Probably.
So that could be interesting.
Oh dear, yeah.
So you're looking forward to getting back together again and touring again?
Yeah, very much so. We had a nice little surprise gig the other day. Come back together, which was nice, and then that comes a nice little warm up for the tour, which is going to obviously be, the month stretch of November. So it's going to be nice. Little.
It's quite amazing the way it's gone, hasn't it? With guys in the band presenting stuff. You did Strictly, JB did Strictly, doing the one show.
Yeah.
We were talking about Marvin does the hit list.
Hit list and stuff, yeah.
Really, really interesting developments in your careers.
Yeah, everyone's kind of got their own little niche outside of the music. I suppose everyone's still kind of dabbles with the music, whether it be DJing or, their own singles and whatever else as well. But I think everyone, kind of has their separate passions. Do you know what I mean? They get to kind of do those as well as a bit of JLS, which is have your cake and eat it, I suppose.
And you sort of, how long was the break initially when you split up?
Testing my knowledge, yeah. I don't know, what was it, 7 years?
But then since then you've been coming together every sort of couple of years and doing stuff, haven't you?
Yeah. Do you know it's what was funny is we've had this WhatsApp chat for years, and it's been very much that thing of kind of going, when's a good time for everyone before we can get back on stage, and it just so happens, obviously, just before COVID hit, we were like, yeah, this is a good time. COVID then hit, so obviously I had to put everything on pause again, and obviously we were kind of used to the pausing. But after that, it was just kind of, we was like, you know what? Anytime we can, if we're free, let's just do it. Block the diaries out. Let's just see if we can get it going.
Yeah. So,
any chance of new material, or is it just doing?
Do you know what? We said this to a bunch of people, bunch of fans the other day, and they were a bit like, "You're 2 albums behind on tours," and we were like, "Are we?" So everyone's a bit like, "Right, we need the other 2, then get more new music, then tour again." And we're kind of going,
"That's fair enough.
We have to, play catch up a little bit."
Yeah. You wasn't a bad player in your youth, were you? Is that right?
I was all right. I was good.
Did you have a chance? Were there any clubs sniffing around? Or?
Do you know what? I was that age-old story of I got to 16. I was like, yeah, lovely. Started kicking about semi-pro. Blackstones was the team I was playing at the time, and then just got injured. I was a bit like, football's not going to happen anymore. Let me see if I can fancy my hand at singing and stuff. And then, hey ho, it kind of worked out.
What? Yeah, you said it was a kind of injury that did for you, was it really?
Yeah, so even now, like, it's funny enough, like my whole, basically under my left foot, I just had nerves removed under my left foot. I couldn't actually properly put any pressure on my foot properly. And
does that affect the routines and the dancing and stuff? Is that not an issue?
You know what's mad? Yeah, it does, but I just can't feel anything now because they've removed them. I'm a bit like, okay. I don't know if that would have stemmed well as a footballer, but do you know what I mean? I think, as a dancer, half the time, it's actually all right. It doesn't have
You could have done that thing that modern players do when they get kicked on the bottom of the foot by accident, they go immediately down. You wouldn't know anybody had done it, would you?
Proper delayed reaction and be like, no, he definitely dived, yeah.
Now, you are a gooner as well.
I am,
Is that,
yes.
So we often like to know the root of how someone, is that geographical? Was it family? What was it?
Do you know what? It's probably more friends at the time. Funny enough, like my old man's he's a Spurs supporter, so it didn't really work.
A discerning man of taste.
Didn't really work too well, and my other little brother's a Man United supporter, so it was probably more friends based at school, and it's kind of I see it now, like even like my son's friends and stuff, like loads of them now, like Man City over the past few years and whatever. I'm like, no, I've held firmly onto him, been like, no, Arsenal, you're staying with Arsenal.
Don't give him a choice.
No, exactly that. No choice given us a bit like, here's your top, we're good to go. But yeah, no, do you know what? It was just following players like Ian Wright and just loving at the time and just what they were doing.
It's generally righty, isn't it? It's often a route back. He was sort of, still is a much loved player, and I think a lot of people got into Arsenal.
Oh, 100%.
And a lovely man as well. He's great.
He's a good legend. Yeah.
So how are you feeling about this season then? Are you going to go that one step further?
Do you know what? I mean, listen, I said it last season, to be honest, and I ate my words very quickly. But yeah, I reckon this season as we all want, I think every Arsenal fan wants that striker. Do you know what I mean? I think we know now, come on, we need that business for a striker. If we can get it and we can fatten out the team as well. Do you know what I mean? Have some extra legs in there. I think we saw with injuries, especially with Saka, Odegaard, 2 massive blows to us, I think, through the season.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of red cards as well at the start of the season. It wasn't the best start, but yeah, I think if we can fatten up the squad and actually have people that have got the legs just in case it does happen again, then I reckon we could do it this season.
There's a story today, we're going to talk with our transfer guys about it later on, about Martinelli. Saudi offering a sort of big money move for Martinelli.
No, I just saw that. I'm a bit like, listen, I'm a Martinelli fan, to be honest. I'm a bit like, I know he gets a lot of stick from time to time. I'm just a bit like, when he is on the ball and he has got the confidence, he runs at players, I'm like, perfect.
Yeah.
They're frightened of the pace, do you know what I mean?
You don't want to be losing players, like, as you say, when you're trying to build a bigger squad.
Well, this is it, but then you kind of get in, if the money they're talking about is right and it's in the ballpark, then you go, well, maybe you do that.
If
and
you spend it on Rodrigo, that's not bad.
Well, there you go. Do you know what I mean? You bring someone like Rodrigo and you go, actually, good business. Do you know what I mean? So we'll sit.
Yeah, I think he'd look great outside of Real Madrid. He kind of gets lost there.
Yeah, he's not getting enough game time.
100%. And I think, listen, he wants to play football. Do you know what I mean? What a place to come and play.
Yeah. Well, best of luck with the tour.
Thank you, lads.
And enjoy your summer with the kids in the car.
No, but I'm going to try, exactly. We'll come back and we'll have a game of double between us as well. Why not? You know what I mean?
Get underway in November in Glasgow and a couple of nights at the O2. And they're basically everywhere around the country, in Ireland, etc., etc. Go and catch the guys on tour.
Yes.
The club is a live tour this November with Example as their special guest. Good to see you, Aston. Thanks very much.
Thank you, fellas. Nice one.
Still to come this afternoon, we'll have some clips of the week for you. Stan Collymore going to join us. Macca will be talking Lions. We're going to get an update on the tennis shortly. And Harry Brook, century up for him as well. So we'll return to Sam Allard and get more details on the cricket.
As the football world continues to process the tragic death of Diogo Jota and his younger brother Andre Silva, tributes continue to pour in on talkSPORT as we honour and remember the life of Liverpool's lad from Portugal. Liverpool legend Mark Lawrenson's praised Jota's impact at Anfield.
I would call him a 100%er.
Yeah.
Which we used to do in our day. If you were a top player and, you know, the talk was about you, just go 100%er. No doubt about it. When you're in that dressing room, look around, you know, and you for a big game and you're looking at people you can count on. He was one of those.
Many fans want to see his number 20 shirt retired, and Lawrenson made his position clear on that matter.
I think that's a fantastic thing to honour somebody like him. Never ever been done before at Anfield. I'm sure they'll definitely do something like that, which will be very, very fitting.
Messages of love and support from all corners of the footballing world speak to the impact he had on his teammates. And the Daily Mail's Dom King says he had a special place in the heart of the Anfield faithful.
He had a song about he's the lad from Portugal, better than Figo, don't you know? Liverpool fans only make those songs for songs of that imagination and colour for the people, for the players that have got something about them, and he embodied their very, very best characteristics.
Jota and his brother Andre's funeral will take place in Portugal tomorrow morning. Elsewhere, as Owen Farrell makes his return to the Lions tour, his former Saracens teammate Jim Hamilton's told talkSPORT he's a much-needed addition to his dad's squad.
I think there's one thing that I've seen with the British and Irish Lions, and I don't want to use the word soft, but I'd say there's a niceness around this squad. And you think you've had the great Lawrence Dallaglio in the studio before, and you think of the icons like Martin Johnson and Johnny Wilkinson, like born leaders at the very highest level. And I think when I've seen the Lions, and they're maybe lacking a little bit of leadership in Owen Farrell, you get everything, but you get leadership on top. Yeah.
Remember, talkSPORT's the only place you can listen to the Lions tour on national radio. We'll be bringing you live coverage of their game against Waratahs tomorrow morning.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. We'll be talking transfers this hour, looking at some of the deals that get done. We'll drill down a little bit more into that Gabriel Martinelli story. Saudi showing an interest in offering big money. Nico Williams isn't going anywhere. 10-year deal he has signed to start Athletic Bilbao.
Yeah, well, he loves it there, so what are you going to do?
I mean, as I say, we often
there is a buyout clause there.
Yeah, but it's a fairly chunky one by the look of it. And yeah, we're looking at the knock-on effects of that Williams deal. And Stan Collimore's going to be joining us as well. Plus, we'll build up to the Lions live on talkSPORT tomorrow morning once again. The third warm-up game down under. And lots more besides, including the clips of the week in the final hour. But a big day at Wimbledon. Emma Raducanu in action a little bit later on against the reigning champion. Let's check in with Lisa O'Sullivan.
Yeah, let's talk about Sone Cartel, though. What a great recovery in her third round court one battle with Diane Parry of France. She dropped her first service game, going 4-1 down in that first set, but has powered through to get back on terms and take that first set 6-4. And she's putting pressure on the Frenchwoman's serve. It's at 30-40 with Parry serving in the first game of the second set. Really good from the British number 3 so far. The winner of this one will take on Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova in the fourth round, because the Russian has just put out the 4-time Grand Slam champion Naomi Osaka.
Oh, wow. OK, fantastic. Thank you very much, Lisa. Yeah, back to Lisa throughout the afternoon. 279 for 5. England now trailed by fairly hefty 308. But it has been a pretty amazing morning's play, hasn't it?
So Bazball, really.
There is, I mean,
that is the way to fight back, the way they've done it, but brilliant, really.
Sam Ellard rejoins us. Sam, I mean, I don't know, every game has got a kind of different story with this current England side, isn't it? It's fairly nuts. It's never boring, though, from your point of view, is it?
Yeah, I thought that morning session was the most remarkable morning session I've seen in the Bazball era. And we've seen them do some crazy stuff. Good stuff and at times some bad stuff. But I truly thought Jamie Smith gets away everyone there, driving Nitish Kumar already, outside edge, beats Rishabh Pant. When Jamie Smith came to the crease on 84 for 5 this morning, 2 wickets and 2 balls in the second over. You almost feared the worst. He came in at 11:15 and went off at lunch with an 80-ball 100. The score went from 84 for 5 to 249 for 5 in the space for an hour and 45 minutes. And you're just sat here, jaw open. Absolutely remarkable stuff. I mean, Jamie Smith, he is not a number 7, and I'm not sure whether it'll be in the Ashes or maybe sort of going into next summer. But he is, I think he's England's next long-term number 3. He is such a good player. He's got an array of shots. He's so good on the back foot. Anything full outside of his off stump, he's so good on the drive. Harry Brooks' 100 came off 137 balls. I'm not quite sure what he was playing at. His innings maybe a little bit less fluid than Jamie Smith, in particular late last night and early this morning. There was a couple of play and misses. On 40, he edged Pradesh Krishna through a vacant second slip, which, by the way, I have to say at that point, India had a lead, guys, of 500 runs, and he only had one slip into Harry Brooks.
A bit conservative, wasn't it?
Which really conservative. And I know that these guys back quickly and can take the game away from you, but when you got a lead of 500, to have one slip in was crazy. And just on Shubman Gill's captaincy here as well, he started after lunch with Washington Sundar, Pradesh Krishna, and has now brought Nitish Kumar Reddy into the attack. The 5 wickets were taken by Siraj and Akashdeep. I cannot believe that those two guys didn't start after lunch. Really, really bizarre.
Interesting. I wouldn't play Jamie Smith at 3. He's our Adam Gilchrist. I'd keep him where he is and then bring in Bethel. I think he'll play at 3.
Yeah, I think Bethel at 3 is good. I just think I get what you mean. He's that sort of counter-attacking cricketer lower down the order. I think he's so good. He's averaging 45. He almost feels too good to be batting down at 7.
Pope's a problem, isn't he? Because he either gets 170 or naught. I mean, that was one of the maddest first ball shots I've ever seen in my life. What was he doing?
Honestly, I mean, that shot is that shot kind of, moving across off stump, trying to flick into the leg side. It's hard enough to play at any point in your innings, let alone when the ball's swinging about on its first ball. It's very Ollie Pope. We saw this, Andy, didn't we, in India last winter? He scored the most remarkable 197 in the first Test match and then couldn't buy a run for the rest of the year. So it does feel very Ollie Pope that he starts with 100 and then maybe goes a little bit quiet. But I do agree. I think Jacob Bethel is a generational talent, and sooner rather than later will play Test match cricket. But it's just, you not think, guys, what we're seeing here with England, it's truly remarkable, isn't it? I mean, 284 for 5. What's the run rate at? The run rate's at 5.5 runs and over.
Wow.
It's incredible.
It's amazing.
Are we cutting Ben Stokes some slack, Andy? He got a very good ball, didn't he?
He got an absolute jaffa from Mohammad Siraj. I mean, a short ball that got to Stokes pretty quickly, trying to drop his hands. But he hasn't scored a Test match 100 in 2 years now. So whilst he's an inspirational captain, a great fielder, he's actually, I think, bowled pretty well this summer, looks fit. His form with the bat is a little bit of a concern. But look, it's Ben Stokes. He's had some injury problems. I'm sure he'll come good. But yeah, no hundreds now for Ben Stokes in 2 years. But to be fair to him, he got an absolute seed from Siraj, who, by the way, in Jasper Brummer's absence, I thought the two guys that took the new ball, Siraj and Akashdeep, were bang on the money late last night, bang on the money this morning. The big problem with India is you got two good guys, good bowlers with the new ball. What comes next is a real concern. I mean, Pradesh Krishna, he's bowled 11 overs for 70 runs. He's just the drop-off from the two new ball bowlers to what comes next is too big for India. And it's like he's almost bowling like he's bowling them throwdowns pretty much. It's too easy for these guys against Krishna and the spinners as well.
Talking of bowlers, Harry Brook, that was quite an interesting.
Oh, God.
Why do you have such a long run-up to bowl at that speed? You could do it off of 2 paces.
Do you know what? I think it got to the point yesterday where it was just about the vibes. I don't think it was actually about trying to get the batsman out. Yeah. I think they were trying to have a little bit of fun. He's got probably one of the most unique run-ups or jog-ups, whatever you want. I don't quite think Harry Brook knows what he's trying to do. But one thing I'll never forget, do you know who his first? He's got one Test match wicket, I believe. Do you know who that was?
Oh, it wasn't Kohli, was it?
It was Kane Williamson.
Oh, okay.
It was Kane. He's got one. He's got one wicket. I remember being there in New Zealand, and he got Kane Williamson out.
Yeah.
And I think he said to me after, "I'm never going to take another Test match wicket again."
Well,
and he might not do, but yeah.
We used to play for the Bunburys with a guy called Joe Kuby, and Joe used to. Do you know, like you see those old Second World War films, and they lob a grenade? That's how he used to bowl.
He had
wasn't
a unique style.
It has a unique style.
He was effective.
the amount of great batsmen he got out over the years. You can imagine you could have an honours ball of people Joe got out with these grenades. Sometimes a bad ball gets someone out.
Yeah, and I think that's what England were thinking. And they bowled 151 overs yesterday, England. The only surprise was Joe Root bowled 5 of them. Now, I don't want to have a go at young Shoaib Bashir, and I'm interested for your guys' thoughts. I'm just not. I think Joe Root's a better bowler than Shoaib Bashir. I mean, Shoaib Bashir. No, I listen. He's a young bowler, Shoaib Bashir, and you could see why England like him. You know, he's a little bit taller. He gets a little bit of extra bounce. He's a young bowler, and he's just so raw at the moment. And he's just got this problem where he just isn't capable on an over of bowling 4 or 5 balls in the same area to build pressure, to create chances, create wicket-taking opportunities. He bowls 3 or 4 bad balls every over and just allows batsmen to get off strike, release pressure, score a boundary. And you almost feel a bit sorry for Bashir because he just doesn't look ready right now for Test match cricket. And I couldn't believe Root, out of 151 overs yesterday, only bowled 5 overs. I thought it was quite remarkable.
Leach gives him control, but then and
I think the problem is there isn't anybody at the moment in county cricket really banging down the door, to be fair, to kind of put Bashir under pressure. But Liam Dawson, somebody that I think is a really good player, offers batting as well, left arm option. So, but look, I think with Bashir, they're sticking with Bashir. I think that's been pretty obvious. They see a long-term project with him. But yes, 284 for 5. And the great thing with England, whatever happens, whether they lose 5 wickets or bat all afternoon, the game's going to move along pretty quickly in the next hour and a half, and that's the fun part of it, right?
Absolutely. Thank you, Sam. Back to you later.
Cheers, guys.
Sam Millard there at Edgbaston keeping an eye on proceedings for us. Sad news, I've read an obituary today of Gerald Harper, who was 96. Gerald was an actor. He was in a show years and years ago on TV called Hadley. But there was a period when Gerald was a talkSPORT presenter.
He was.
He was a kind of, he was sort of uber posh, very sort of suave.
Well, he originally worked
country gent.
He originally worked on Capital Radio, and I think the management here thought that they'd get him in and do a similar job.
If you think talkSPORT is nuts now, you should have been here 20 years ago.
My Sunday affair.
He did a show, Champagne and Roses.
Yeah.
And we'd come on, but before that, you'd have 3 hours of Gerald Harper saying, Bridget from Arbroath has written to me. It's her 50th wedding anniversary. I'll be sending her some champagne and roses. Here's Mel Tormey. And then we'd come in and just do what we do.
But wasn't he replaced by wrestling?
That's right. They decided...
It was quite a strange switch.
The boss at the time decided Champagne and Roses wasn't working quite as well as he'd hoped, and they did a wrestling show. So it was, I think scattergun is the word we're looking for from a programming point of view. But Gerald was a lovely lad.
I should have got him to present. I'm a big fan of Mick McManus.
And here with a crotch holding slam, it's Honey Boy Zimba and his great hit. Yeah, it was. Here are the Royals. They should have got him to do the wrestling show. Oh no. Yeah, yes. That would be it. A 1, a 2. Anyway,
he was a character though.
Yeah, he was, and he always had a bit of a twinkle in his eye. Gerald. It was. He was. 96. We're very sad to hear the news. An old colleague there. Stan Collymore is going to be joining us. We're talking transfers very shortly with Ben Jacobs. Andrew McKenna on the lines. Clips of the week. Lots more to come between now and 4. We're here as always with Toolstation. Get thousands of products delivered to you with Fast Track on the Toolstation app. Next stop, Toolstation.
plays that villain role very well now. That's crying out for a little bit more attention. It comes with a lot of crazy people. I took it personally and it kind of made me rebel a bit more. To be honest, I don't really care anymore. I'm never going to change.
Yes, we'll be talking Lions a little bit later on. A lot of fallout from Andy Farrell's late call-up. Owen Farrell. Andy Farrell, I was about to say, getting very upset, a little bit frustrated, shall we say, with some of the questioning.
Well, it was a bit of an odd thing to do, wasn't it? I mean, Dan Biggett was absolutely steamed into
I saw Stuart Barnes today.
Terrible decision, I think.
Says he doesn't think it's nepotism, but he thinks it's an odd decision. Ben Youngs, who we had on yesterday, knows him really well. Owen Farrell thinks he'll bring a lot to the party. But anyway, we'll get Macca's thoughts on all that fallout. Part of our top team bringing you the Lions Tour Down Under exclusively live. Let's get some transfer news now. Ben Jacobs,
excuse me,
still out the Club World Cup, joins us now. Hiya, Ben.
Good afternoon, guys. How are you?
Good, thank you. Yeah, so disappointment for a few clubs, including Barcelona and maybe Arsenal. Nico Williams not going anywhere, staying at Athletic for, maybe not 10 years, but that's certainly what that's what the contract says.
Yeah, contract says 10 years, but there's also a release clause. Athletic Bilbao say that it's basically 50% increase on the original 58 million euros. So if that club statement's to be believed, it's in excess of 100 million euros, the new release clause, which you could argue is a valuation the player either has grown into or will do. But for now, the speculation ends. And this was a story we broke on talkSPORT about 4 weeks ago, that Athletic Bilbao should not be forgotten in this saga and had started initial discussions to try and renew Nico Williams, a very similar player to Martin Zubimendi in the sense that despite all of the interest, we mustn't forget the fact that he's in love with Athletic Bilbao and well paid. And it was the same for Zubimendi prior to his Arsenal move when Liverpool were pushing. So there was always a chance that this noise and smoke would result in an extension. And believe it or not, Barcelona were working on Nico Williams last night, trying to provide him guarantees they could register him, saying they would trigger the 58 million release clause. They went to bed, they wake up, they see the Athletic Bilbao announcement. So Barcelona were blindsided. They were quite confident on Nico Williams, but he stays at Athletic Bilbao. And it's really not something I'm that surprised by, because although his head was turned by Barcelona, he's very happy at Athletic Bilbao and he's reasonably well compensated. In fact, he's very well compensated there as well.
Somebody probably punched the air on that news was Marcus Rashford.
Absolutely.
So I wonder where that leaves his situation. It probably improves his options, or his chance of going to Barcelona, doesn't it?
Yeah, Marcus Rashford's kind of constantly repitching himself to Barcelona. When it was Nico Williams and a possibility of that signature, he suddenly said, sign me on loan and I'll be a number 10 through the centre. Now I would imagine Rashford saying, I'm your Nico Williams backup, sign me as a left-sided attacker, which is his preferred position. Marcus Rashford's plan is to return to pre-season training. He's taken June to deliberate and find options. And the situation for Rashford is really clear. He wants Barcelona. He thinks Barcelona want him, but the challenge is Manchester United don't want to do a loan. They want that 40 million. And actually, there's not much difference in terms of the finances and the ability to register Rashford if that's a permanent deal for Barcelona. Nico Williams, 58 million euros. Marcus Rashford, 40 million pounds. Both of them high wage. Rashford actually more than Nico Williams if you take his Manchester United wage, same kind of agent fees. So still Barca have that problem with permanent signings of can they register Rashford even if they get an agreement with either Manchester United or the player. But obviously one to watch. Let's wait and see too whether Barcelona try their luck again for Luis Diaz. I'm sure, like everybody, clubs interested in talking to Liverpool are going to be very respectful of the Diogo Jota situation. So it's not a today, tomorrow story to be talking about Luis Diaz. But naturally, we know Barca have tried for him in the past as well. So I think now they've lost out on Nico Williams. Keep an eye on Rashford, but also a potential reapproach when appropriate to Liverpool for Luis Diaz.
The trouble for United is they're so limited. Every club knows that they want to unload Rashford. They know that they want to unload Garnacho. They're never going to get 60 or 70 million from Garnacho, which they're quoting, because everybody knows the manager doesn't want him. He doesn't want to be there. It's the same with both players. So they're in a difficult position. I could see that loan definitely happening, even if it's later in the window.
I think you're right. And I think the outgoings will kind of be linked for Manchester United, because once they bring in maybe two important fees, other players that wait might actually get the kind of moves they're looking for on more preferable structures to the buying club. And this is the challenge at Manchester United. The players know there's urgency. They're on good wages. They might dig in a little bit to sort of force the move they're looking for. And Jason Wilcox is going to have to implement a cultural change where players don't get to decide where they go and buying clubs don't get to decide the structure they're looking for. So you might get a situation where if Garnacho pure profit came in at 50, 55, and in addition, Rashford went for 40, Anthony could get his loan move to Real Betis. But similarly, if Rashford gets his loan move to Barcelona, then it's unlikely that Anthony will also be loaned to Betis, because Manchester United are going to have to find funds from somewhere. The most interesting one at the moment is Jadon Sancho, who Juventus are pursuing. Napoli have tried in the past. Nothing really in the Fenerbahce links. They made an inquiry, but certainly not a bid. And that actually has a fee that clubs think is below the market valuation, 20 to 25 million, roughly the same obligation number as Chelsea had the opportunity to utilise, but they obviously sent him back to Manchester United with a 5 million penalty. So there may be a situation where a buying club feels they can agree a deal for Sancho with Manchester United, but wage is the big issue. And unless Sancho drops his pay packet, he's going to be very short on suitors.
That was the problem for Chelsea. I didn't understand his attitude or his agent's attitude. He had a good season with Chelsea, not a great season, but he liked playing there. He scored in that final. You know, you think, how much money do you want, mate? I didn't understand that Chelsea offered him a deal, but he didn't want it.
Yeah, strange. Anthony Elanga, I want to ask you about, Ben. Newcastle apparently feeling they can get a deal done, have improved their offer to £55 million. But the word out of Nottingham apparently is that they don't want to sell the player. They don't welcome this. I mean, has he got a buyout clause, and are they anywhere near it?
I don't think we're talking buyout clauses, but what is clear is Newcastle are pushing both last night and also today, and they remain quite optimistic here. So our understanding on talkSPORT, broken by Alex Crook, is the total number Nottingham Forest are looking for may have to go north of 60 million, but the current offer is at 55. So they're not that far apart. They're discussing structure. There's still personal terms that need to be agreed with the player as well. But I think Newcastle might meet the Forest valuation in the next kind of day or two. And the reason for that is because there's a bit more urgency due to the fact that a lot of players Newcastle have tried for, they've not been able to get over the line. It's kind of a backhanded compliment because they're going up against big six teams for important targets at big money that maybe they weren't doing 3-4 years ago. And as a consequence, their competition is Chelsea for João Pedro and so on. But with Elanga, Eddie Howe wants to bring in by early pre-season a right-sided attacker, and I think there will be urgency and desire and need for Newcastle to not have another near miss, to not have another big and important player that doesn't join. So I think they will meet that Forest valuation, and then it's just about agreeing terms with the player. And at this stage, Newcastle are relatively confident that they can get this deal over the line.
We're nearly out of time, Ben. Just very quickly on this Al Nassr link to Gabriel Martinelli. We just had Aston from JLS in, who's an Arsenal fan. He was troubled by this. I mean, what are the chances?
Well, I think Arsenal's position at the moment is they don't want to sell, but if they advance Rodrigo, then there may be a possibility that either Martinelli or Trossard has to depart, and therefore there could be a scenario where Al Nassr bid for Martinelli and Arsenal change their mind. There are several targets on that left side for Al Nassr, also including Luis Diaz. But what I can tell you is two quick things. One, the Saudi Pro League have moved forwards their window. It opened yesterday. That was to allow Al Hilal to sign the Al Shabab striker Hamdallah in time for the Club World Cup. But other teams are now doing their business a little bit earlier. And the second point is that Al Nassr, as you have to do in Saudi, have requested a budget of 85 million euros that they want to put towards an attacker. It's not to say the bid will be 85 million euros, but they've asked for that central funding, which suggests a bid is imminent. Then whether it's Diaz, Martinelli, or even a more central attacker like Mohamed Kudus, who Spurs are also chasing, it remains to be seen. But there's a concrete possibility that Saudi deal makers test the resolve of Arsenal. Martinelli was approached in January, and now we'll have to wait and see whether a bid is forthcoming. But if one does arrive and it was 85 million, if you then move for Rodrigo at 90 million euros, the exit of Martinelli funds a player like Rodrigo, and Arsenal still have plenty of budget left. So it's an open situation and one to keep an eye on now the Saudi window has opened earlier than expected.
And he's probably home trained, isn't he? So it helps with
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Ben, thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
There we are. That is Ben Jacobs, very latest on the transfer market. You can check out all the Transfer Insiders podcasts.
Thanks, guys. Have a good show.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you, Ben. Thanks very much. For all the latest transfer news on the talkSPORT app, wherever you get your podcasts, or check out our live blog on talksport.com. Stan Collymore joining us very shortly. I'm going to head back to Wimbledon very briefly, though, and catch up with Lisa O'Sullivan.
Yeah, Sonia Kartal is 2 points away from a place in the fourth round as she puts an ace down on court number one against the French qualifier Diane Parry to earn herself match point at 40-15, 6-4, 5-2. She has completely rattled this 22-year-old French woman who at one point was shrugging her shoulders in true Gallic style and waving her hands at the coaches above the scoreboard on number one court, but there were no answers for her. And that is Sonia Kartal through to the fourth round at Wimbledon for the first time. A great performance by the British number 3. 6-4, 6-2.
Very good performance.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Lisa.
Thanks, Lisa. There
was a picture of her when they were, I think, they were about 9 years old, her and Emma Raducanu when they were playing as juniors. You see that in the paper today? Yeah. Well done to her. Good news. Stan Collymore with us very shortly. It's Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT.
As the football world continues to process the tragic death of Diogo Jota and his younger brother Andre Silva, tributes continue to pour in on talkSPORT as we honour and remember the life of Liverpool's lad from Portugal. Liverpool legend Mark Lawrenson's praised Jota's impact at Anfield.
I would call him a 100%er.
Yeah.
Which we used to do in our day. If you were a top player and, the talk was about you, just go 100%er. No doubt about it. When you're in that dressing room, look around, and you for a big game, and you're looking at people you can count on. He was one of those.
Many fans want to see his number 20 shirt retired, and Lawrenson made his position clear on that matter.
I think that's a fantastic thing to honour somebody like him. Never ever been done before at Anfield. I'm sure they'll definitely do something like that, which will be very, very fitting.
Messages of love and support from all corners of the footballing world speak to the impact he had on his teammates. And the Daily Mail's Dom King says he had a special place in the heart of the Anfield faithful.
He had a song about he's the lad from Portugal, better than Figo, don't you know? Liverpool fans only make those songs for songs of that imagination and colour for the people, for the players that have got something about them, and he embodied their very, very best characteristics.
Families and friends. And I know that many people out there have had, many people have lost people through tragedies and can absolutely empathise with what they're going through. And you've seen that in the outpouring. I think that it's strange football, isn't it? Because we elevate fairly ordinary young men most of the time into extraordinary positions, and in some cases we receive sort of godlike status, and you expect that godlike status to sort of remain forever. That you see the pictures of youth and vibrance and scoring goals and winning trophies and lifting trophies. And then when reality hits, as it can to any of us at any time, it seems, even in this strange world with everything that's going on all around the world at the moment, and we see shocking scenes from any part of the world day in, day out, I think that because we all escape from those things into football, many of us, certainly those that are football mad, is that the profoundness of seeing that vibrance and that youth and somebody being in our lives week in and week out, either in a stadium or on the television, and then you see their social media, holidays, weddings, that we have a window and a door into their life that allows us to escape sometimes our own darkest days. So you can see, I mean, three of my very, very best friends, dearest friends, are Wolves fans, and they're absolutely devastated. Spoke to a good friend who's still up at Liverpool Football Club and just got a one-word answer with disbelief, is that a young man and his brother just recently got married and was on the crest of a wave, and then it's all taken away, and that becomes very, very uncomfortable for all of us because, like I say, football is an escape. And when that reality comes crashing down for all of us and we see this tragedy play out day in, day out, it can be very, very confronting indeed.
You've been in dressing rooms, Stan, over the years where terrible traumatic events have happened to your teammates or people behind the scenes. I mean, it must be what happens in those moments.
Well, you live and breathe. It's different from what I would term a normal working environment. Not that I've ever worked, mind, but in terms of broadcasting, for example, at talkSPORT Towers, there's people spread out across the floor and may never come into contact with each other. In professional football, you eat, sleep, travel, often become friends, sometimes not, and you have a 3-hour window every single day where you get to know these people, and then you go off and you're with your family and friends. But Paul, Andy, I've seen people with cancers, players with cancers, dementia diagnoses, family deaths, wives and girlfriends that have lost babies preterm. And what happens is, of course, is that players coming into an exclusively male environment in the dressing room and exclusively female environment in the women's game, is that you can sense when people are really struggling. And players come together. It might be just a little word. It might be, give me a call. I was at Brentford last year, and Brentford have a lovely guy called Michael Caulfield that has a dog and is a clinical psychologist. And he just encourages players when they need him just to go and have a walk and just to have a chat. And football clubs have those now. In my day, they weren't there as much. But I can tell you one thing, that the Liverpool dressing room, and again, when you see on social media, it can be quite frustrating. And sometimes you want to take and say, look, this is the insight. And people want outpourings from every single Liverpool player, and I understand it. But some players won't know what to say. Some players will be truly in grief, people that were very, very close friends. Some people will be in shock. And until they all come together under one umbrella at Liverpool Football Club, and then they get the kind of help and the support that the supporters will give them, the organisation that Liverpool Football Club will give them, is that it will be a very strange place. So I'm sure that conversations will have been had on the resumption of pre-season training and protocols to be able to help players move forward. The one thing I would say is that there are lessons in sport where we all know, and we can think of players in any sport, male or female, that have gone through extraordinary traumatic experiences, and often they can compartmentalise the human, the emotions, the tears, the upset with the professional athlete. And I think that Liverpool will do that at some stage. But I've seen players broken that then go and do a post-match interview, and you would never know. So the most important thing that all of the players at Liverpool's Football Club and others that played and knew Andre and Diogo is that they get the help and the support that they need moving forward.
Yeah, hopefully that is the case. I'm sure, as you say, Stan, I'm sure it will be the case. Well, we will catch up with you soon, Stan. Thanks very much for joining us today. All the best.
Take care, everyone.
There we are. There's Stan Collymore on Diogo Jota. It's Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. We're going to talk Lions next. We're able to bring you the the Lions Tour Down Under exclusively live here on talkSPORT. And we've got the third of the warm-up games Down Under tomorrow against Waratahs. Andrew McKenna's part of our top team bringing you the tournament, and we'll be chatting to him in a few moments' time. We're here with our good friends at Toolstation. You can get fast-track delivery in as little as 30 minutes on the Toolstation app. Next stop, Toolstation.
Plays that villain role very well now. It's crying out for a little bit more attention. It comes with a lot of crazy people. I took it personally and it kind of made me rebel a bit more. To be honest, I don't really care anymore. I'm never going to change. Before we talk rugby, we're going to head back to our sports news desk. Ben Fletcher.
Indeed. Thanks, Paul. The Crown Prosecution Service have just announced that former Arsenal footballer Thomas Partey has been charged with 5 counts of rape and 1 count of sexual assault. Partey, who left the Emirates this summer. The allegations relate to 3 separate women who reported incidents between 2021 and 2022. He's going to appear at Westminster Magistrates Court on the 5th of August. Shazwant Narwal of the Crown Prosecution Service say the prosecution has been authorised after a careful review, a comprehensive review of the file of evidence. They remind everyone that criminal proceedings are now active. The defendant has the right to a fair trial. They say there will be significant public interest in this announcement, but it's absolutely vital that there is no reporting, commentary or sharing of information online which could in any way prejudice these proceedings. Confirmation from the CPS that ex-Arsenal footballer Thomas Partey has been charged with 5 counts of rape and 1 count of sexual assault.
Thank you very much, Fletch. We move on to the Lions Down Under, and the big story today, if you pick up any newspaper, are the cases for and against Owen Farrell,
Yes.
joining up with the Lions after Elliot Daly injury. Andy Farrell got a little bit impatient, the coach. He spoke to the media yesterday ahead of the game against the New South Wales Waratahs. Tomorrow that's live on talkSPORT, and he responded to criticism of him calling up his son Owen to the squad.
We look at international games or we look at club games or whatever, but the person's still the person, and the character's still the character, and the player inside is still the player inside if he's fit and well and ready to fire. And we see all of that, all the hunger that's always been there. So we see him adding to the group and injecting a bit of life and experience as far as what he can bring to the squad.
All the rugby pundits having their say. So Stuart Barnes sort of saying today he doesn't believe it's nepotism, but he doesn't necessarily agree.
It makes it more complicated
with
that the coach is his dad. It does.
It does. We spoke to Ben Youngs yesterday. I know Macca was listening because he sent me a message. Andrew McKenna, one of our top team, a commentator for the Lions Down Under, joins us now. Hi, Macca.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Yes, that press conference yesterday was quite entertaining, wasn't it? For those of you who were actually just watching when that clip was played out, you'll see a man in the background with his arms folded. That is David, the press officer. And after a while, he actually chipped in and said, we're going to be wrapping this up shortly. If anyone's got any questions about the game, now might be the time to ask. So you can tell exactly what happened in that press conference when that is basically what's going on.
Now, it was interesting with Ben Youngs. He's shared many dressing rooms with Owen Farrell, and he thinks there's a personality and a character. He kind of hinted he didn't think he was going to see probably that much game time unless he was called upon. But having him around the squad, he felt he would be very good. I mean, you made a point to me that Andy Farrell said to us at the Lions launch when they announced the squad that he was a player that was kind of short of fitness and needed a bit more game time to get up to speed, but. You said to me he played his last game 3 days before they announced that squad. He's not really played any rugby at all, has he?
No, he's basically had an interrupted season. His one and only season playing in Paris for Racing 92 has been interrupted not only by a groin problem, but also a concussion problem. So he's had a stop-start season. His last appearance was 3 days before the Lions squad was announced, as he played the European Challenge Cup semi-final, and he left that after 18 minutes with an injury. So if he was short of form and fitness when the squad was picked, then people are asking, how has he managed to find that form and fitness when he has played not 1 minute of a match? Now, he might have been training, but he would have been training on his own because Racing's season was over and he's gone back to Saracen. So he would have had no organised rugby, and therefore the knock on the selection is you could have picked a player from England, Ireland, Scotland or Wales who are all currently playing and training with their international sides ahead of their summer tour. So that's the trade-off.
Why didn't he go for a like-for-like player to replace Daly? I mean, he's not a fullback, is he? I mean, not.
No. So essentially what that is telling us is that the Lions feel they now have enough cover in that. You don't have to go like for like. Think back to the last Rugby World Cup. South Africa lost a hooker and called up Andre Pollard, the outside half, who helped kick them to World Cup victory. So you don't have to go like for like. And what the Lions are saying is, now that Blair Kinghorn is on duty, now that Hugo Keenan is there as well, he missed the Reds game due to illness. That was the great irony in the Elliot Daly situation. He wasn't even due to be playing. Hugo Keenan was ruled out on the morning of the game with illness. Elliot Daly comes in, plays, and gets injured. You've also got Marcus Smith at fullback, and then there's Mac Hansen who can do a job there. also Gary Ringrose and Hugh Jones. So what they're saying is we feel we've got that covered. What will be interesting is Andy Farrell said we're maybe a little bit light at 12. I'd love to know how the guys who have been there for the last couple of weeks who play 12 feel about that, because that feels a little bit of a slight against them and maybe feels like their nose is slightly put out of joint.
So where are the Waratahs at? What sort of test are they going to offer, you think, tomorrow compared with the other two games down under?
Yeah, not as good as the Reds is the straightforward answer. They finished 8th in Super Rugby, so missed out on the playoffs. They have a couple of their Wallabies back available. So Andrew Kellaway, the winger, has been released, as has Taniela Tupou. Taniela Tupou is a tight head prop who the Australian media absolutely love because he's an enormous bloke and he bounces people off for fun and all sorts. But in terms of scrummaging, potentially a bit of an issue. And I think he's also a yellow card waiting to happen because his tackle technique for me isn't great. So it'll be interesting to see how they go. In terms of the actual outright numbers, the Lions have played the Waratahs / New South Wales 13 times, should I say, in the course of history, and they've lost only one of those. So I don't think that the Lions will be unduly concerned at this stage. I would imagine that they probably run out fairly comfortable, as they did against the Reds the other night. The Red scoreline was a bit of a surprise for me. I didn't think it would be that much. So I don't necessarily think that tomorrow will be as big, but I would expect the Lions to win pretty comfortably.
It was interesting with Owen Farrell. I mean, he looked like he was lining up to do a bit of media, but he didn't look completely comfortable in that role. I don't know what you made of it. I don't know if that's going to be his future or not, but he didn't seem like a natural pundit.
Well, the reason he did it, he said, was to actually take himself out of his comfort zone because he's not naturally comfortable doing that. So he actually did the game against Argentina in Dublin for Sky. He actually did quite a long interview a couple of weeks back with Jim Hamilton, the former Scotland international, who's doing stuff with us during the tour. He was on the breakfast show this morning, was Jim. And Jim, being a former teammate of Owen's at Saracens, was able to ask some of those sort of more, should we say, more pressing questions that other journalists might not get away with, because Jim, being a mate, can ask it and not fear getting the icy stare of death from him. Owen basically said, look, I'm coming back. I want to play. I know I'm going to be under pressure. And he knows that there are, for whatever reason, a lot of people who do not like him. And it doesn't matter what he does in this life, they will not like Owen Farrell. So the call-up has kind of split the rugby community, kind of how I thought it would.
Yeah.
And Argentina and England tomorrow?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, if England beat Argentina, which is a big if because they're a good team, are they better than the Lions? 03717.
It's a great call, isn't it? I've got to say, I do like the look of that England 23. It tells you how much depth there is knocking around British and Irish rugby at the moment when you take out the amount of players that are missing and then still are able to put a side out. Argentina are still missing a couple themselves due to injuries and bumps and bruises. But we saw what they did, missing 4 or 5 against the Lions. I'll be honest, that is one tour that I would love to do. But England, generally speaking, go to Argentina the same summer as a British and Irish Lions tour. It's known among the journalistic fraternity as the Steak and Malbec tour. And I'd absolutely love to do that. I'll let you into a secret, boys. That's why we're all pushing for a Lions tour to Argentina.
Oh, yeah, of course. That's why all the journalists are writing so much stuff about it. Exactly. Is it you and Ben Kay once again tomorrow, Mako?
Absolutely. We're on from 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock kickoff, as all of these games are. And it's really getting serious now because this game and then the Brumbies on Wednesday are arguably the two biggest ones before the first test match. We've got that invitational side made up of Australia and New Zealand players coming up next weekend. But look, invitational sides, you never quite know, do you? So, in other words, tomorrow and then Wednesday, these are going to be two massive, massive games for the Lions.
Excellent. Cheers, Mako. Hear from you tomorrow.
All the best.
Andrew McKenna there, alongside Ben Kay, former Lion and England World Cup winner. 10 o'clock build-up, 11 o'clock start, and, of course, all the fallout here on talkSPORT straight afterwards. We're going to head back to Edgbaston, see how England are doing against India. Sam Allard.
Going along nicely, 320 for 5, trailing by 267. This 6th wicket partnership now worth 236 runs. Jamie Smith hammering an 80-ball century as England recover from 84 for 5 to 321 for 5. No wickets in the afternoon session for India, but better with the ball in the morning session. The lines and lengths were all over the place. They kept changing field. There was no clear game plan. After lunch, they're trying to bowl outside of off stump and catch England's batsmen out in that way. Couple of slips in, couple of fielders on the offside, and there's been at least half a dozen player misses from Smith and Brook that could have very easily taken the outside edge. One did take the outside edge of Jamie Smith's bat, just fell short of Rishabh Pant. So India toiling away hard here as Harry Brook there once again tries to drive Siraj through the offside. Inside edge, Cougar onto the stumps, came off his pad. So it's Smith on 149, Brook on 115, England 321 for 5, trailing by 266 runs.
Thank you, Sam. That's amazing, that partnership.
Oh, that was lucky.
Yeah. Well, there's been a few moments like that,
Yeah.
but you got to ride your luck when you're playing aggressively.
Well, when you play like that, you do. You need a bit of luck.
Tonight, you would probably argue is as big a night, certainly if you view it the way South American clubs do. One of the biggest nights in South American football for many years.
Very much so, yeah.
Two of their teams in action, Fluminense and Palmeiras. They take on Chelsea in the early hours of tomorrow morning, and that's live on talkSPORT, over on talkSPORT 2. Fluminense play Al Hilal. And Tim Vickery is going to join us once again this week because, it's absolutely massive. The Brahma will be flowing, I would imagine, tonight for Brazilian football fans.
Dancing in the streets of Rio
They
tonight.
could well be.
No, it's a difficult game for Chelsea. No Caicedo. Lavia looks like he's out.
Neto won't play.
Looks as if he won't play either. So difficult, you know.
Yeah. But anyway, they're both here on the talkSPORT network, and we'll be looking ahead in a bit more detail. We'll have Todd Macklin, we'll have the clips of the week, of course, and lots more besides in the final hour of the show. But the sports headlines are next.
As the football world continues to process the tragic death of Diogo Jota and his younger brother Andre Silva, tributes continue to pour in on talkSPORT as we honour and remember the life of Liverpool's lad from Portugal. Liverpool legend Mark Lawrenson's praised Jota's impact at Anfield.
I would call him a 100%er.
Yeah.
Which we used to do in our day. If you were a top player, and the talk was about you, just go 100%. No doubt about it. When you're in that dressing room, look around, and you for a big game, and you're looking at people you can count on. He was one of those.
Many fans want to see his number 20 shirt retired, and Lawrenson made his position clear on that matter.
I think that's a fantastic thing to honour somebody like him. Never ever been done before at Anfield. I'm sure they'll definitely do something like that, which will be very, very fitting.
Messages of love and support from all corners of the footballing world speak to the impact he had on his teammates. And the Daily Mail's Dom King says he had a special place in the heart of the Anfield faithful.
He had a song about he's the lad from Portugal, better than Figo, don't you know? Liverpool fans only make those songs for songs of that imagination and colour for the people, for the players that have got something about them, and he embodied their very, very best characteristics.
Jota and his brother Andre's funeral will take place in Portugal tomorrow morning. Elsewhere, as Owen Farrell makes his return to the Lions tour, his former Saracens teammate Jim Hamilton's told talkSPORT he's a much-needed addition to his dad's squad.
I think there's one thing that I've seen with the British and Irish Lions, and I don't want to use the word soft, but I'd say there's a niceness around this squad. And you think you've had the great Lawrence Delalio in the studio before, and you think of the icons like Martin Johnson and Johnny Wilkinson, like born leaders at the very highest level. And I think when I've seen the Lions, and they're maybe lacking a little bit of leadership in Owen Farrell, you get everything, but you get leadership on top. Yeah.
Remember, talkSPORT's the only place you can listen to the Lions tour on national radio. We'll be bringing you live coverage of their game against Waratahs tomorrow morning.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Clips of the week will be coming up a little bit later on. Todd Macklin has some more weird and wonderful tales. We're going to be talking about LeBron James today. An interesting point of his career, Andy. Have you been following what's been going on?
I haven't. I did notice that he put a very nice tribute to Diogo Jota. Yesterday.
That's right, because obviously he's a shareholder in Fenway and a Liverpool fan.
I thought he'd agreed to sign a contract, but I'm not surprised because he was worth about $52 million to him.
That's right, for a year. He's kind of hedging his bets a little bit to see what the Lakers do in the next week or so. Todd Macklin will explain more. Been hearing from his son Bronny this week as well. He's had his first rookie season at the club. But we're talking esports and a purpose-built stadium up in Sunderland. But before that, the wait is finally over as the reunion of the century starts tonight. We're giving you a chance to win a pair of Oasis tickets in Manchester on the 19th of July. Yes, you heard that right. Oasis Live 25 is sold out, but talkSPORT can get you in. But that's not all. Alongside the tickets, we'll put you up for a night in a hotel, put $5,000 in your pocket, completely tax-free. So listen up for everything you need to know and how to enter.
On iArcade, you have to be over 18 to enter in the UK, excluding Northern Ireland, for the chance to win a pair of tickets to the most electrifying rock and roll reunion of the century, a hotel stay and $5,000 spending money. Text the word Oasis to 83338 by Monday the 7th of July at 11 p.m. and you'll be entered into the draw to go supersonic this summer. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission or post your name and number to Oasis Prize Draw, PO Box 3190, Colchester CO2 HEP, to arrive by 5 p.m. on the 10th of July. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. Good luck, yeah? Sorted.
Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. You think England could avoid the follow-on?
Well, who knows? You can't. They can even.
Well, they need about 60 runs.
They won't be asked to follow on whatever happens. But it's a remarkable effort, this, from where they were. And with this team, you never know. They could even get first innings lead. They won't. It's mad.
326 for 5, as Sam was just saying. Smith on 150.
But considering they're in such a dominant position, both batters, they look like they've been going to get out every ball.
Yeah. It's been fairly
strange.
nuts. We'll keep an eye on that for you. But we turn to esports now. A sport, growing hugely, of course. And now looks like it's going to have its own purpose-built esports stadium up near the Stadium of Light in Sunderland. A 200-seat theatre, large 17-metre LED screen, broadcast studios, performance spaces. And, it's all happening. The man we turned to on esports...
He knew it was going to happen. He predicted this years ago.
We laughed in his face.
We did.
When he said people would sit there watching other people play games. You're mad, Bealsy, we said. But who's laughing now?
He is.
Jonathan Beals joins us, a man who knows his esports very well, works in the industry. Good afternoon, Jonathan.
Good afternoon, Paul. Good afternoon, Andy. Yes, absolutely. Back in the day, 25 years ago, I did say it was going to happen, and it has happened. But... in all honesty, this is nothing new because this was actually done 10 years ago in London. A company called Gfinity, they set it up. They raised about £20 million and they took 2 dedicated cinema screens in Fulham Broadway. And they kitted out these 2 cinema screens with full broadcast specifications, cameras, about 200 seats again in each screen. And unfortunately for them, in the end, it didn't work because they got rid of the cinema a couple of years ago. But what's happening in Sunderland is quite interesting.
I mean, do they have different ones around the world? Have they got there? I take it they've got these purpose-built arenas for esports in the States and other parts of the world. Are they in the Far East?
In America, there is one. I think there's 2. There's one in Texas, and there's another one in a city which I can't really remember it. But generally speaking, is that when you do have big events, they generally take over the Copper Box Arena, for example, in London, or they take over the hockey stadiums or the football stadiums. So this is something which has been going on quite a while, and it's interesting to see that the UK esports organisations are saying, well, this is our St George's Park, and we've got an education element to this as well, and we're going to train the players and everything else. That's all great, but because you can get a degree in esports now, you can get 3 or 4 degrees in esports. Yeah, but the problem is there are no jobs. When you come out of esports, because all the jobs in esports are teaching esports, being a college lecturer, being a university lecturer. So in Sunderland, in the northeast, you can get trained up. You can get trained up in esports production. You can get trained up as a player and observer on the technical side and everything else. Because the problem that esports has got, whilst it is very popular and people do play and it's played around the world and people will watch and get involved, there's nothing which underpins it. In football, you've got TV broadcast revenue, radio broadcast revenue, ticket sales and merchandise and everything else, and a huge, 100-year plus legacy which underpins it. In esports, you haven't got that. You don't have these stadiums, you don't have clubs, you don't have teams. You do have teams, but they don't really have their own stadium. And a lot of money has gone in the past 5 to 10 years, not just in the UK, but in America. There's been franchises and leagues where big money has changed hands, and it hasn't really, it hasn't had the kind of lift that it needs. Because what it needs, it needs essentially a game changer. It needs to have like an event. If you look at darts in the UK, people associate darts with Christmas. Christmas, it's the darts. It's on TV. It's on talkSPORT. Everybody knows that. It's an event, and you've got people like Luke Littner who's come through and all the other players. Esports really hasn't got that. It needs the game changer. What it needs somebody to come up with a game which is not only great to play, but great to watch as well. So it makes great television. So people can then watch it. Because, going back to Gfinity, they tried really hard They had a lot of events. I mean, they had Gerald Clark, him of ITV. They got his production company involved. They did a lot of production. They did teams and everything else. And some of it went on to Sky, some went on to BT, but it never really took off. You know, it didn't really evolve. But the interest is there and the enthusiasm there, and people like to play. But it hasn't. It needs to really spark, and it needs to be something like darts.
You need Barry Hearn. Then it sounds like it's all crying out to get Barry Hearn.
E-darts is what you need.
E-darts. That would be good. Jonathan, sadly we're out of time, but thanks for filling us in on that. Good to catch up with you. All the best.
Good stuff.
Cheers, guys. Appreciate it.
Jonathan Bealsey on the world of esports.
It's a bit all right. They had it on Sky. Maybe last year or earlier this year. I did watch it for a bit. I thought this is bonkers.
Well, you know, you're not the target audience.
I know it's not.
You had a penny farthing not that long ago. But if there was a parallel Premier League and every team had an eSport, I mean, I know they do have affiliates, but if you played Chelsea were playing Manchester United on Sunday, there was an eSports game in the build-up to it.
Yeah.
You might watch it.
Might watch it. Yeah.
Might get you in the mood.
Could be. Yeah.
I don't know. What do I know? They probably do that already. Anyway, let's. We're going to go first. Wimbledon or to the cricket? We're going to head to Wimbledon first. Lisa O'Sullivan gives us an update. Lisa.
I'm just doing a quick Google because I know I saw something in an email somewhere about Wimbledon esports. But I can't remember and I didn't read it properly.
Oh, okay.
Come back to us later.
Okay.
Thank you, Lisa.
Keep you interested with that. And goodbye. Emma Raducanu's resting up for her Friday night out with Arina Sabalenka, but we've got one British player through to the last 16 already today. Sonny Cartal, a confident straight sets winner over Diane Parry. Now all eyes are on former British men's number one Cameron Norrie. He's playing a fellow left-hander, Mattia Bellucci of Italy. The Italian looking to make his first trip to the round of 16 at a Grand Slam in his second Wimbledon appearance. Of course, Norrie was into the semi-finals with Novak Djokovic in 2022. But Norrie hasn't held serve in the opening game of the set, so he is trailing the Italian currently by 2-0.
Thanks very much, Lisa. We'll go back to Sam Ellard later on. 3-2-9 for 5. England currently they trail by 258. Smith on 151. Brooke on 120. So this is some effort by the fellas out there at the moment. It's some partnership, and we'll be back to Sam Ellard if there's any developments. But Tom Macklin joins us next. We're going to look at the world of American sports before we leave you at 4. And Shabana and takes over with Gabiag Bonlahor Drive. We'll be looking ahead to tonight in the Club World Cup. Big night for Brazilian club football, one of the biggest in years. And we'll have the clips of the week, of course. But Todd up next. We're here with Toolstation. You can download the Toolstation app for fast-track delivery on thousands of products. Next stop, Toolstation.
He plays that villain role very well now. That's crying out for a little bit more attention. It comes with a lot of crazy people. I took it personally and it kind of made me rebel a bit more. To be honest, I don't really care anymore. I'm never going to change.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. It's time to talk American sports, as always, with Todd Macklin. Good afternoon, Todd.
Hi, boys.
Todd, we'll start with the saddest story of the last 24 hours or so, the death of Diogo Jota and his brother. I saw that LeBron James, a Liverpool fan and a shareholder in the Fenway Group, tweeted his sympathies, didn't he? I mean, I'm sure this has been a big story, even in the States.
No question, it's been a very big story. It's Liverpool, right? It's someone playing international for Portugal. It just, and just kind of shows you how big soccer has become in North America as well. Just, give you a sense of how big the story is. And, to have someone kind of cut down in the prime of their life, just coming off such the successes that he's come off to, death is sad at any point, but when you see someone so young taken away, I think it hurts a little bit more.
Now, there's an interesting thing going on with LeBron James, isn't there? You can kind of explain it, but from my understanding, he's got this $52.6 million option to have another season with the Lakers. But they're not looking beyond that. Understandably, at his age, they're like thinking about the future and the budget they'd need for the future. But his agent is saying, look, at his age, he wants to win things, and he's going to take a look at the kind of trades that the Lakers might do over the next week or so before kind of making up his mind. I mean, is that kind of more or less right?
Yeah, it's so LeBron had the option to become a free agent. So if he opted out of that $52.6 million contract, he would have been a free agent and could have gone wherever he wanted, I guess, to a certain degree, because teams only have a certain amount of cap space, right? So it's not as easy as, hey, he picks his team where he wants to go when he goes, right? They would have had to fit him under the cap. But LeBron opted in, which means he stays with the Lakers. He has a no trade clause. So you should think that's the end of the story. Hey, he's opted in. He's going to be with the Lakers. But as you said, his agent, Rich Paul, said, hey, LeBron's going to kind of see what the Lakers have done. So you've got this kind of big question mark. What does it mean? Could the Lakers trade him? Could he ask for a trade from the Lakers? So it feels like, even though he is a Laker, that there are a lot of things in play, and just don't know how solid that base is that he's going to be a Laker. I think he's going to be a Laker. They've made some subsequent moves since he opted into that contract that, to me, looks like he's going to be a Laker, at least start the season. And listen, if the season goes south, maybe he works out a trade, but he'd have he'd have the say of where he goes because of that no trade deal.
Yeah, that's right. He chooses where he goes. He can't be traded by them somewhere he doesn't want to go.
Incredible.
Yeah. His son Bronny has had his first sort of rookie season with the Lakers, and has been playing in. Is it the G League, Todd? Is that right? Been playing in the other league?
Yeah, he spent most of last year in the G League, right? He had the odd times, and remember the kind of the big moment where him and LeBron, he made his debut with LeBron at the same time. But for the most part, he was in the G League. He's going to play in what's called the Vegas Summer League. That starts up on July 10th. And again, it's just, we've talked about this on the show, guys, for the last kind of couple years that we've been talking about Bronny. Bronny needs reps. He just needs to get on the court and play as much as he can. Hard to do at the NBA regular season level. Yeah. Easier to do in the G League and the Summer League.
Now, of course, he did a little interview reflecting on his rookie season, and there were questions for him about what he's learned in his first year at the Lakers, but there was a lot of questions about his dad. And I'm not altogether sure, I'm not calling him a liar. I'm not altogether sure I completely believe what he said when he was asked about his dad and his dad's future. This is what was said.
Actually, one of my friends called me talking about what I was going to do because they seen my dad, whatever. I didn't see it. He called me. I was like, yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. So pretty much answers the question. Yeah, I don't really pay attention to that stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going around that I don't pay attention to. So yeah.
Wasn't particularly comfortable there, was it? The idea that him and his dad wouldn't talk about what his dad's going to do next year and who he's going to be playing for. But anyway, he was being diplomatic. Now, into the WNBA, the women's NBA, and economists at the top unis in the States have got together, and they've been talking about Caitlyn Clark, the big star of women's basketball, and her value to the league. And they've crunched the numbers, and they think it's close to $1 billion. When she's not on the TV, the figures drop. When she's not there, the stadiums maybe aren't quite as full. She is the kind of the go-to star, the big star of women's basketball. But that's 1,000 times more than her salary.
I think her agent might have something to say about all this.
Yeah.
The team this week, well, they won something called the Commissioner Cup, which was a sort of cup competition. But, I mean, I don't know how coveted it is, Todd, but they're well paid, the winners. And she spoke out this week saying we get more for this than we do winning the women's WNBA championship. And there is a feeling that they are really, considering the eyes on the sport now, what it's doing for TV, that all the women playing in the WNBA are vastly underpaid, considering their drawing power.
Yeah, and Caitlyn specifically, there's been a lot of talk this year that her fellow players are being overly physical with her, right? Which are causing some of these injuries, which are causing her to miss games. And as you said, you know, the figures are much lower when she's not there. So it's interesting. You have a lot of, because they did a poll recently, I think, like voting on the All-Star, and they did, obviously for the fans, she was voted an All-Star starter, but her fellow players voted her ninth. If I read it correctly, among guards in the WNBA, which is ludicrous, right? Like it's just, as you said, you've got the figures that show just how much more valuable she is. So, you know, there's still a lot of her fellow players that I think are jealous of her success, even though her success has been a lot of success for the league and of course for them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been the one thing that I think has been the real focus on the, with the WNBA in the last couple of weeks or so.
We can talk baseball now. This is Aaron Judge of the Yankees. They took on your local team, Todd, the Blue Jays. And basically, the Blue Jays effectively refused to pitch to him.
Yep.
He was intentionally walked by the Blue Jays 5 times in a 4-game series. This is where basically they deliberately pitch outside the zone, so he walks as opposed, because they're more frightened of him hitting the ball and the damage he can do.
They give him first base.
Yeah, basically. Exactly. They give him first base. But this is the first time it's happened like this since Mickey Mantle in 1957. So it's quite a rare occurrence. But yeah, I mean, I suppose that's the mark of just how good he is.
It absolutely is. It kind of takes you back to Barry Bonds in his heyday, where teams were just like, listen, we can give him one base because the odds are he's going to hit a home run or something, a double or triple, and it's just the percentages say it's better just to walk him. And listen, the Blue Jays did it. The Blue Jays won all 4 of the games against the Yankees when they used that mentality. The Blue Jays, since their manager came into the game as the manager of the Blue Jays, I think it was about 3 seasons ago, they've walked Aaron Judge more than any team in Major League Baseball. And again, it worked. The Jays won all 4 of the games. So until the Yankees find a consistent batter behind Aaron Judge, teams are going to continue to pitch around Aaron Judge.
Wow. Now, this is a great story. This is this is not the first time it's happened. They have these the Yankees, because of the association with Seinfeld, the fact that George Costanza, one of the characters, worked for the Yankees in the show. They've done this before, these sort of Seinfeld bobbleheads on these promotional nights. They got the Red Sox, which is a game you think they wouldn't really need to have, find a promotion to sell tickets for. They got series against the Red Sox coming up, and they produced this George Costanza bobblehead, which will be given to the first 18,000 fans who come into the stadium on August the 21st for the game against the Red Sox. And they're selling for 5 times more than the game tickets are. They're all people are kind of pre-selling them on eBay and stuff like that from those people that think they're going to be amongst the first 18,000. And the thing about it is it's George Costanza asleep under his desk. There was an episode of Seinfeld called The Nap, where George decided he needed a nap during the day and got a carpenter to come in and set up a sort of little bed under his desk. Except in this case, George Steinbrenner, the legendary owner of the club, played by Larry David, we only ever saw the back of his head, comes in with his grandkids at one point while George is having a nap under his desk. We're going to play you a little bit of Seinfeld. This is the moment where, he's in with the grandkids, and one of the grandkids spots George under the table. If you're watching on Connect TV, you'll see this on YouTube. And he phones Jerry Seinfeld to see if he can help him out.
Mel? Are you Mel?
Hello.
Jerry, I'm trapped under my desk. Steinbrenner's in the room. You gotta help me.
Who is this?
Gerald.
Hi.
Get away. Someone's gonna be trying. Shh. Bye-bye. Shh. Get away.
Huh? Hi, I'm Brian.
You got beat it, Brian.
Yeah, so these bobbleheads are going for a fortune, Todd.
I think they're going for more than like Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and Mickey Mantle bobbleheads, right? Like the George Costanza. I will say one thing, and I know this from when the Blue Jays have done bobblehead nights. The lineups, and people are going to line up maybe even the night before and camp out to make sure they're one of the first to get in so they can get the bobbleheads. That's going to be such a big story, is the lineups to get in.
Wow, fantastic. Well, 18,000 sounds a lot, but wow, I'm sure they'll get snapped up. Tom, we'll catch up with you next week. Thanks very much.
See you, boys.
There's Tom Macklin there, a man on American sports. In the next half hour, we'll bring you the clips of the week, and we'll look ahead to probably one of the biggest nights for Brazilian club football in many a year. Fluminense in action, Palmeiras in action in the Club World Cup. Both those games live on the talkSPORT network this evening. And
be interesting if they both get through, they play each other, and we'll meet a European team. So it'll be perfect for FIFA. South American team versus European team.
Still a big if at the moment. I mean, don't talk your team down. I would make Chelsea favourites.
Really?
Wouldn't you?
Not without Caicedo and Lavia, no.
Well, we'll see. That's live at 2 a.m. on talkSPORT, and Fluminense Al Hilal 8 o'clock this evening on talkSPORT 2. But those clips coming up next after the news headlines.
As the football world continues to process the tragic death of Diogo Jota and his younger brother Andre Silva, tributes continue to pour in on talkSPORT as we honour and remember the life of Liverpool's lad from Portugal. Liverpool legend Mark Lawrenson's praised Jota's impact at Anfield.
I would call him a 100%er.
Yeah.
Which we used to do in our day. If you were a top player and, the talk was about you, just go 100%er. No doubt about it. When you're in that dressing room, look around, and you for a big game and you're looking at people you can count on. He was one of those.
Many fans want to see his number 20 shirt retired, and Lawrenson made his position clear on that matter.
I think that's a fantastic thing to honour somebody like him. Never ever been done before at Anfield. I'm sure they'll definitely do something like that, which will be very, very fitting.
Messages of love and support from all corners of the footballing world speak to the impact he had on his teammates. And the Daily Mail's Dom King says he had a special place in the heart of the Anfield faithful.
He had a song about he's the lad from Portugal, better than Figo, don't you know? Liverpool fans only make those songs for songs of that imagination and colour for the people, for the players that have got something about them, and he embodied their very, very best characteristics.
Of the week on talkSPORT with Toolstation. Our friendly colleagues are right behind you at over 580 stations. Next stop, Toolstation.
talkSPORT clips of the week.
Yes, it's time for the clips of the week with Toolstation. And Andy, would you like to kick us off?
I would, and we kick off this week with Martin Keown getting very excited about the tennis.
I love my tennis.
Yeah,
Jim. There's every year I try and get there if I can. It's just an incredible event to see. Watching Emma Raducanu coming back into her best again.
You'd say, how do you do to Emma Raducanu, wouldn't you? Really?
I wrote down the tens in the Raducanu.
I'm sure you did. Maybe it's a little line she's doing of canoes. I've never heard it.
Canoe.
Anyway, Breakfast Alan Brazil, also clearly a big fan of the sport, especially the reigning men's Wimbledon champion.
I have to say, I think it's Sinner Alcaraz.
Yeah, that's Carlos Alcaraz, No man is an island apart from Carlos Alcaraz. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Alan's co-host, Ali McCoist, had some pretty strident views on the tournament when chatting to Sam Quek.
Jack Draper, of course, made the US semi-final a few weeks ago, did very well, ranked number 4. He's obviously Britain's greatest hope. Ali, are you a fan? Do you think he could potentially go all the way?
No. Okay.
Well, he wasn't wrong, was he?
I said no. I hope he had a bet on it. That's very good. Is it me? Is it Simon Jordan now, a man who can always call upon a ready turn of phrase?
Juventus didn't feel that that Ronaldo was something they wanted to keep on in their league. If you want to make the case, and I don't care whether the Saudi Pro League is better or not, quite frankly, it's no skin off my backside.
Is he having a groff?
Isn't it normally your nose?
Yeah, I'd say it would be. Yeah. And Simon did seem to have a bit of a bottom fixation this week.
So he's going to have to get his head in the game and around the game and across the game, that he's going to have to take a pill. He's prepared to take a pill. But what he doesn't want to do, with all due respect, metaphorically, please excuse the terminology, he doesn't want to take it up the backside.
I think they call those suppositories, don't they? The pills.
Who needs enemas?
It's a different, it's very bottomy this week, wasn't it?
Very bottomy.
And you know it's the off-season when Jason Cundy and Jamie O'Hara are set a Tudor history quiz.
How many wives did King Henry VIII have?
8.
No.
6.
6.
Go on.
Can you name them?
Anne Boleyn. Anne. There was Anne of Cleves.
Mate, you know this.
Jane Austen. Jane Austen's another one.
Oh, yeah, Jane Austen, yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, was she divorced, beheaded, or did she survive? I'm not quite sure, Jane Austen. Yeah, I think she just went off and wrote a book and often found herself some years later. Well, quite a lot of years later. Anyway, what's next, Andy?
Sticking with quizzes, here's your question master, Andy Goldstein.
Sit first and second for the most free kicks scored in Premier League history. We want to know which 3 non-English players are third for tied place.
Third for tied place. I mean, that's again, I've got no idea who was third for tied place.
Right.
Now, you may recall Troy Deeney saying this last week.
Ben Stokes, are you worried with his past injury record? Just the amount of overs he may have to bowl with obviously Jeffrey Archer and that being out injured.
Good old
Jeffrey Archer. Yeah.
Well, Alan Brazil had a stab at it this week.
They go head-to-head again today at Edgbaston on the second test. One man who's finally back, superstar bowler Joffrey. I do like Joffrey. Here's newsreader Alex Isaac. Alexander Isak.
Yes.
I wouldn't think you need the money. Oh, no, of course not. With a rugby update.
The British and Irish Lions eased to an 80-try, 54-7 victory against Western Force.
Oh, there's a lot of bonus points there.
80 tries. Blimey, that is very impressive. That is going well the tour, isn't it? Anyway, Andy, what's next?
This is one we're calling betting expert Dave Stevens overemphasises the word of.
He does, yeah.
The Eclipse is the big one, Steve. I've been reading about it in the Sun today. What a race this is, by the way.
Yeah, 50th year of our sponsorship of...
There we are. That was Dave Stevens, a betting expert, overemphasising the word of.
We could have done an of. You know, remember Alan's off.
Good. Here's former Lion Ben Kay, who may have just hit upon the title of a cosy crime afternoon detective series on BBC One.
It's the biggest game of their career. They're facing against the British and Irish Lions for effectively their club side, and they are going to be all brim and firestone at the beginning.
Yeah, young rookie cop DC Brim and DCI Firestone solving murders at the vicarage.
Sounds good to me.
What's next, Andy?
It's back to Big Alan, talking music.
Who's your favourite band?
Oh, there's so many. There was Rod, there was Bowie.
Oh, yeah, Rod.
Yeah, neither of which were bands. You know, favourite solo artists, all for me, you know, the Stones, the Beatles. This is Ray Parlour discussing The Window.
I think it will hot up very soon, the transfer window, and you see once a couple of signings are made, then it's like a monopoly, you know, I'm going to buy someone now, and it's a dominoes effect.
Yeah, you get a pizza with every player you buy.
Not bad, is it? I'll have a Brian Embuemo and a pepperoni passion, please. Stuffed crust. Not a bad idea for Domino's if they're listening. And finally, Andy, what is it?
Breakfast had a dolphin expert on the show, and you can hear just how much of an expert she was.
Yeah, what about this?
Well, Sarah, look, it's really, really great to talk to you. Thank you. And keep us in touch with Jack the Flipper, because we're fascinated by it,
Tell him to behave himself.
Yeah.
Hang on, that little laugh. Did she just come here that again? Yeah, actually, she does. She actually sounds like a dolphin. She speaks dolphin. That's amazing. There she is. Throw her a fish.
Is it Flipper?
I think it.
What's that, Flipper?
Flower a fish.
Flipper was a bit like Sooty, really, because he'd say
was he?
Well, they'd say to him, "What's that, Sooty?" or "What's that, Flipper?" and Flipper would make that noise.
That's it. Yeah, a bit like Lassie as well. There we are. This one for the teenagers.
A bit, really.
That's enough of that, Bill. There we are. Who were the clips of the week? We should thank Mark Goodwin, Highbridge Dave, Wollaston Village, Jim Job for the dolphin clip. Thank you, Jim.
It takes a whole village to raise a clip.
It does. Zoggy the Gooner, Michael Fawcett, John Fairless, Nick, Graham Oakley, Lee Jensen, Michael G, Glyn Barrington, Pete Harrison. All suggested clips this week that were played. If you hear a clip on talkSPORT over the next 7 days, please do send it in to us. talksport.com/H&J. Text to 81089. Sweet to TSH and J. Just need a day and a time when you heard it go out. So we've got a fighting chance of tracking it down. And if it's played, you'll get a credit. If you want to hear the clips of the week again, you can this afternoon. Wherever you get your podcast, it'll be available in about half an hour's time, along with the H&J Daily with some of the best bits of this afternoon's show, which today includes a bonus clip, a clip that we didn't play for reasons we'll explain in the, I wouldn't say deemed too rude for radio. It's a bit rude, but that's not the reason we put it in there. So if you missed any of the show today, we had some excellent guests earlier on, and the H&J Daily podcast will feature a clip that we couldn't quite play on air today. So again, wherever you get your podcast. But as we said, a bigger night for Brazilian club football in many a year. Club World Cup, 2 Brazilian sides in action. Tim Vickery is back for an extra helping this week to look at both those games that are available on the talkSPORT network this evening. We're here as always with Toolstation. You can get thousands of products delivered to you with Fast Track on the Toolstation app. Next stop, Toolstation, and that was indeed the clips of the week with Toolstation.
Plays that villain role very well now. That's crying out for a little bit more attention. It comes with a lot of crazy people. I took it personally and it kind of made me rebel a bit more. To be honest, I don't really care anymore. I'm never going to change.
ahead to the Club World Cup, let's quickly check in with Sam Ellard. It's tea at Edgbaston, and for a change, there wasn't an England wicket during our show.
Yeah, there we go. Feels a long time ago that I was telling everybody that England were 84 for 5 early on in the morning session. They go to tea remarkably at 355 for 5. Jamie Smith in the afternoon session. In the morning session, hammering an 80-ball century. He moved on to 157 in the afternoon session. Harry Brook with a 137-ball ton in a thrilling stand with Jamie Smith. The 6-wicket partnership worth 271 runs. India actually, I thought, early in the afternoon session bowled pretty well there. The game plan was pretty simple. Try and get the ball outside of the off stump. There was about half a dozen player misses. There was a really tough chance for Rishabh Pant off the edge of Jamie Smith's bat that just fell short. A couple of inside edges that just missed the stumps. The scoring actually slowed down later on in the session, probably because the ball's gone a little bit soft. The intent's still there, so when that second new ball comes out, which in 5 overs time, I'm sure England will look to score a little bit more quicker. So Brook goes to tea on 140, Smith goes to tea on 157. What a day for England so far. England 355 for 5, trailing by 232 runs.
No, it's not 3:15 of a Wednesday. If you've just woken up after your night. Anyway, it's an extra helping of Tim Vickery today because it's as big a night of Brazilian League football as they've had for a while. In Sao Paulo and in Rio, it's Palmeiras and Fluminense in action this evening. And Tim Vickery's back. Hi, Tim.
Yeah, very good afternoon to you. Can I just give a little bit of homework to your mighty audience there for the clips of the week?
Yeah.
Can you please, they scour the airwaves for those minutes, those wonderful moments when newsreaders refer to the African country that used to be Zaire.
Yeah.
They refer to it as Dr. Congo.
That's right.
It's one of my favourite. Yeah, please. We need that on Clips of the Week.
Some more Dr. Congos would be nice.
Yeah.
So, I would imagine this is huge, isn't it, in the world of Brazilian football? Yeah.
Absolutely massive. The gates of paradise have opened up for 2 of the 4 Brazilian teams that went into this competition. And one of them, the Palmeiras, Portuguese coach Abel Ferreira. I don't know if in Portugal they grew up on the Great Escape like we did, with Gordon Jackson making the same mistake every Christmas day. But he's pulled out the July the 4th. Down with the British, no taxation without representation.
Wow.
Because he has called on the Philadelphia public to come along, a unity of the Brazilians and the Americans, a unity of the Americas against those fiendish Albion against Britain.
Now, not that I'm suggesting any sort of conspiracy.
Yes.
But some of the refereeing in the Chelsea games has been absolutely dire. So in favour of the other team, it's been embarrassing. But you'd imagine, from FIFA's point of view, they would absolutely love either Fluminense or Palmeiras to play either PSG or Bayern. It's the perfect finish. Europe versus South America. It's what they must dream of.
Or even Al Hilal.
Yeah, maybe.
No, but And Al Hilal might be even better because Al Hilal, Saudi Arabia have bankrolled this whole thing.
That's true.
But certainly you would imagine what they don't want is Chelsea coming through that. We can't claim an anti-European conspiracy here, but I agree with you on the refereeing of Chelsea Benfica. It was absolutely bizarre, really, really strange.
It was every time they did a tackle, it was fine. Every time we did a tackle, it was a foul. I mean, it was sort of like so obvious. You think, oh, come on, mate, give it a rest. Really?
Hopefully, that was just a case of a referee having a bad day and not some wild conspiracy. Certainly, we can't claim an anti-European thing there because both of the teams were European.
It's played out quite well for Palmeiras. Chelsea, without Caicedo, is a big difference, and without Lavia probably, and possibly even without Neto. We can come on to that sad story in a minute. But I mean, it's So it is difficult, and also the big thing around Esteval. I mean, everybody is so interested to see how he. I feel for the lad. Really, it's a lot of pressure on him here.
This is the young boy going to Chelsea next season, but he's playing his last games, possibly his last game for Palmeiras this evening.
Yeah, come the final whistle, if Chelsea wins, he becomes a Chelsea player. I don't know, the regulations of this thing, he could probably play for Chelsea in the semi-final. There are 2 problems here for Palmeiras. One is the back 4. He's lost both of his centre-backs, including his captain in his defensive rock, and he's lost his left-back. who has probably been their best player in the tournament so far. So he has to completely reconstruct that back four. The other thing he's got is Esteban, who made the first big blunder of his professional career after the third group game, because he's been coming under a little bit of hammer, and Brazilian fans are very demanding and they love to build him up only to knock him back down again. And he's been good, but he hasn't been great. And it's been that way for a little while, for the last couple of months. And he said after that third game, he said, yeah, I'm finding it hard to focus because my mind's on next season with Chelsea. Yeah. Now, you have transgressed the unwritten rule of tournaments. There is no life beyond the end of the tournament. And that took a lot of smoothing over. And now, as fate has it, he is playing the very side that he's about to join. So it's a big ask for an 18-year-old, that one. So there's a couple of problems there for Palmeiras to administer. But on the other hand, they are an experienced side and they're a battle-hardened side. They won't win many points for style. But certainly it's a very young Chelsea team, isn't it? Very young team. And Chelsea are going to find out that Palmeiras, if you're going to have to overcome a side who are willing to die for today's game. You know, a side that this is everything to them. This is the biggest moment in the history of the club. Wow. They get mocked all the time, Palmeiras, because all their local rivals can claim a world title. They can't. They try and argue with a title that they won in a 1951 tournament, but no one really takes them seriously. So they get lobbed at them all the time. You haven't won a world title. You haven't won a world title, in the kindergarten atmosphere in which a lot of football is played over here. This is the golden opportunity to put it right, and it's opened up so well for them.
Yeah.
You know, they haven't really played any heavyweights so far, and they won't until the final if they go that way. Yeah. So this is the big opportunity of Palmeiras' life.
Wow, amazing. So it's Fluminense Al Hilal kicking it off 8 o'clock this evening on talkSPORT 2. Then we bring you Chelsea Palmeiras 2 a.m. tomorrow morning. Tim, we'll end briefly just talking about Diogo Jota. This has been a huge global story. We were chatting to Todd Macklin on American Sports, and he says it's been a big story there. I'm sure in a Portuguese-speaking country in Brazil, it's been a huge story as well.
Yeah, less because the Portuguese-speaking and more because a lot of people follow the Premier League.
Yeah,
and know him well firstly from Wolves and especially from Liverpool. 3 kids. No, that's where my thoughts are. 3 kids. It will be nice, and I'm sure this will happen for the clubs that he's represented to step up and take some kind of responsibility for those 3 kids, because, you know, life goes on for them, and they need a little support, and they'll need a lot of support now.
I'm sure they'll get it. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, certainly. Tim, thank you. We'll speak to you on Wednesday. Enjoy the games tonight. All the best.
Look forward to it. Cheers.
Tim Vickery there, as we said. Fluminense Al Hilal at 8. Chelsea Palmeiras.
I don't mind if Chelsea come home, but I'd love it if they beat them, because they're so arrogant. They're so cocky, the Brazilians.
Let's just check in very quickly before we go. Lisa O'Sullivan at Wimbledon. Find out what's happening with Brits on court.
Yes, Cameron Norrie dropped the first game of the set against Matteo Bellucci, but has taken it to a tiebreak, which is where we are at the moment. Norrie 3-1 up. Sonny Cartel is already into the last 16, and Emma Raducanu will play the top seed Arina Sabalenka later tonight.
Thanks very much, Lisa. Plenty of updates from Lisa in Drive coming up next. Shabana Hearn and Gabby Agbonlahor going to be with you at 4. We'll catch up with you on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend, but yeah, stick around for Drive.